We'll get going here. Everybody take their seats, and we'll get going here in a second. Okay. All right, everybody come in, grab a seat, and we'll start. Welcome this morning. We're in the Government Services Building in Bunnell, Board Chambers, and this is the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners meeting for August 3rd, 2020, 9 a.m. With that, welcome everybody here. With that, I'll ask Commissioner Erickson to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I thank you all for wearing your masks. Sometimes I have to take mine off in order to see the program and speak. We're all socially distanced up here on the podium. So for the moment of silence, we ask God to bless all the citizens of Flagler County, especially the men and women in the military around the world standing watch to maintain our freedom. Here at home, our brave first responders, police, fire, and especially medical personnel these days who keep us safe, away from danger, and secure in our homes. And we thank God that Isaias, I guess that's right, Isaias, it did not get too close to our county. It's right off our coast right now, so the worst of it is happening now in the next few hours with rain and such. If you'll bear with me, I have some additions, deletions, and modifications to the agenda. The first of which, we're deleting item 8C. It's been pulled by staff, so that's out. We're doing a number of interlocal agreements, and some of them are on the agenda, and some of them are just coming forward now. So the two that I want to add, and one will be, if I get it approved, one will be item 7S, which is an agreement between Flagler County Board of County Commissioners and Flagler Humane Society related to CARES Act funding. These are all basically interlocal type agreements to make sure that once the money is provided to these organizations, that they spend it properly and we don't get it back. So that's item 7S. If I could have a motion, hopefully, to approve adding that to the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we add item 7S, the interlocal agreement with, who is it with?
Flagler Humane
Flagler
Society.
Humane Society.
Okay, that's
Second.
Okay. Anybody in the public need to comment on that? I'm the only one that has a piece of paper. It was put out late last night, but I'd like to get it done today. It's standard. We're doing the same thing on the agenda with other organizations. So seeing no public comment, bring it back to the board for comment or vote. Seeing none, all those in favor of adding item 7S, which is agreement between Flagler County Board of County Commissioners and the Flagler Humane Society Incorporated related to CARES Act funding distribution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I have an additional item. It's interlocal agreement between Flagler County and the City of Palm Coast related to CARES Act funding. Basically, it's the same as we're doing for Bunnell and other government organizations, and it's for the same money and the same reasons. And I'm going to ask that we get a motion to approve that to add as item 7T.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we add item 7T, the interlocal agreement between the City of Palm Coast and the county for CARES funding management.
Right. And as you go through the agenda, you see there's some others that were already included in the agenda. We want to make sure this is in effect right away as soon as possible, because we are trying to get that CARES money distributed as soon as possible. Now,
I second that.
right, we have a second. Any public comment concerning that? So we have a motion on the floor to approve item 7T, which also stated again, interlocal agreement between Flagler County and the City of Palm Coast related to CARES Act funding distribution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, it is added to the agenda as items 7T. And we've deleted item 8C. That was pulled prior to the meeting, but I believe it's still listed on the agenda. One of the announcement I have from the chair is that, and this is important to everyone, early voting begins today and runs through Saturday, August 15th. For more information, visit the Supervisor of Elections website, flaglerelections.com, or call 386-313-4170. Upcoming committee meetings, workshops, and special meetings. The next regular meeting is the only announcement there. It's Monday, August 17th at 5 p.m. Monday, August 17th at 5 p.m. All right, we'll get back to the agenda. It's Monday morning. Trying to get myself organized here. This is very important, the next item that's coming up. It's recognitions, proclamations, and presentations. And this will be the Flagler County Leadership Graduation, and I believe I'm going to turn it over to our county administrator. Is that correct, Jerry?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is a very special day for me and a lot of other people in this room. It has been a unique pleasure and privilege for me to have been a part of Flagler County's inaugural Leadership Academy. It has been a continuation of the experience that I've had with the staff and with some others that are outside of the county working for constitutional officers. It has been just an amazing experience. When you're able to come into an organization and recognize real talent, real dedication, and you're able to do some things like the simple expedient of empowering those people and preparing them and advancing them. There's no greater sense of satisfaction in the world than to watch another person blossom and progress because you had some small part in it. And I say a small part, it was this commission that had the vision to recognize the importance of future leadership for this county. And it was you that allowed us to move forward, along with our sheriff that participated in this with us by providing Dr. Joe Saviak to co-teach this. It has been an amazing experience, and I'm sure that you're going to see the fruits of what you have done as these very, very worthy students that have completed a rigorous program receive their degrees for the inaugural class. And with that, I would like to introduce Dr. Joe Saviak for a few comments on his experience with the Leadership Academy.
Thank you, Professor Cameron. Graduations are celebrations, and here we are today to celebrate the hard work, dedication, and commitment to professional excellence of a special group of leaders who went above and beyond their normal work responsibilities and family duties and other community obligations and took it upon themselves to participate in a leadership program that you made possible. I was thinking back on it this morning, and it was a rigorous executive education program. We covered all the classics, Maxwell, Cotter, Blanchard, Abrashoff, both the principles and strategies for being a successful leader that work worldwide, as well as specific tools in the toolbox that you can make use of as an executive to improve performance and productivity. And so the benefits to our citizens are going to be seen, as Professor Cameron said, in enhanced performance, productivity, cost savings, efficiency, and the highest level of service possible by being equipped with this knowledge and this educational experience. I want to express our appreciation to the Board of County Commissioners who made this possible. I want to express our appreciation to Sheriff Rick Staley, who was critical to the success of this program, and to our tax collector, Suzanne Johnston, whose strong, enthusiastic support also made this program possible, and to Professor Cameron, who came up with this idea. We all know it's a best practice worldwide in private, public, and nonprofit sector leadership, but he brought it here to Flagler County. You embraced it, and today we have the inaugural class who have successfully completed a rigorous and challenging executive education experience on their own time over the last year. And so we're very grateful to be here today and excited about their achievement today, and very much looking forward to all the accomplishments that we will see them continue to make in their public service careers. Before we recognize our keynote speakers, we do want to provide special recognition to a member of the Academy. It's always a tremendous honor when your professional peers select you as a leader and say you exemplify the very best of public service, and that they saw you consistently go above and beyond to learn more and contribute more during the educational experience. And so Professor Cameron and I and the board were all very pleased to, and Tax Collector Suzanne Johnson and Sheriff Rick Staley, very pleased to recognize our class valedictorian, Shelley Edmondson. Please join me in giving her a big round of applause. We loved having all of you in class. We are very proud of you, and we are excited about what the future holds. And now I'll turn it back over to Professor Cameron.
Thank you. I'll just echo what Dr. Saviak said. It is a distinct honor for someone to be recognized by their peers as an outstanding member of the group and selected to be valedictorian. And with that, Shelley Edmondson.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, what a year it's been. We started this Collaborative Leadership Academy this time last year. Today, we look back to appreciate all of our efforts and accomplishments during this educational experience, and to thank the ones that made it possible. With the incredible instruction by Professor Cameron and Professor Saviak, and the elaborate library of leadership books we've been provided, we have been given the tools and the resources to become great leaders. Can I take this down? Oh, thank you. Okay. Our library consists of leadership books like Good to Great, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, 5 Levels of Leadership, Leadership, a series of the 1-Minute Manager books, and more. Professor Cameron gave one very particular instruction each week, and I would like to take a moment to let Professor Cameron know. We read it, we understood it, and we embraced it. We even took a field trip. We were provided with motivational speakers. Other governmental partners attended, such as the Flagler County Sheriff's Office, the City of Palm Coast, the City of Flagler Beach, and St. Johns County. These speakers reiterated the same narrative being provided in our classroom each week. Now, I know you're wondering, just what did we learn? This academy, these classes, these professors have taught us that leadership is not just about being the boss, but it's about building relationships. That is the essence and the spirit of leadership. This academy has created both change and growth amongst us all. I also believe we ultimately learn to be better people. We were always good at our jobs, don't misunderstand me. But we always completed the necessary tasks, and we guided our teams and we did them well. But throughout this class, we found out that being a leader is not about us, it's about others. Our ultimate job is to build genuine relationships and to create future leaders. But to do that, we must first build their trust. If they do not trust us, they will not follow us. We learn to be better team players and the fundamentals of what that means. We learn the importance of mentors and how to become one. We learn that we must be able to influence others. According to author, speaker, and pastor John Maxwell, leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. And he goes on to say that if you cannot influence people, then they will not follow you. And if people do not follow you, then you're not the leader. This concept seems so simple, so elementary, and yet so true. We learned about adaptability and communication, decision-making, and conflict resolve. We learned different leadership styles like directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating. We learned about situational leadership and intuition. I am extremely grateful for having had the opportunity to sit with this incredibly talented, smart, strong, and dedicated group of people. During our final class, someone pointed out that we started this journey following a crisis, Hurricane Dorian, and we ended in crisis, COVID-19, and now Tropical Storm Isaias. Kind of like the bookends of this journey, but I would say we're just getting started. All of this was made possible by our great leaders. This includes you all, the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners, Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley, and Flagler County Tax Collector, the Honorable Suzanne Johnston. You all showed your leadership by trusting us and giving us the tools to become great leaders. It is with great appreciation that we thank you for this opportunity. John Maxwell also said, leaders become great, not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. During this time of crisis, this class has proven that we are resourceful, adaptable, and engaged, no matter the circumstances. Faced with challenges unlike anything we've seen in our lifetime, I believe we have shown excellence, creativity, commitment, innovation, collaboration, conflict resolve, and leadership. These last few months have proven that there are no obstacles that we cannot overcome. We have made new relationships throughout this collaborative journey and crossing over different departments and different entities. Some of us did not even know one another, and if we did, we didn't know them well. Some of us have strengthened our relationships with each other. We have built trust through this class. I believe that this has benefited our organizations and Flagler County tremendously. Public service is a privilege. To serve our community, to do what's best for our residents, to be responsible and honest. It's not for the faint of heart. There are no annual bonuses, financial perks, or fancy trips around the world. This is a job that rewards by the relationships that we build and the accomplishments we achieve together. I think I speak for the entire class when I say we are honored to be a part of the inaugural Flagler County Leadership Academy. Thank you, Professor Cameron and Professor Saviak. These gentlemen spent countless hours preparing for this class. You too have changed the culture of this organization for the better. We are better because of you. This organization is better because of you. Flagler County is better because of you. Again, we thank you for this opportunity. And lastly, I would like to say to Professor Cameron, we will go out and do great things. Thank you.
Wow. Now you see why her peers selected her. What a job, Shelley. Really great stuff. And it's just been such a privilege. If we could get, Mr. Chairman, if you could come down, we would like to give these graduates their official recognition of this tremendous accomplishment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. I'm going to take my mask off for this. I wanted to say a few words and then give the other commissioners just a word to congratulate all of you for the class. The first thing to say is dedication. It takes dedication to hang in there for 9 months during everything else that's going on. And so we really do appreciate that, because when you start one of these efforts, it's a tremendous effort. Think of the hours that are done in order for each of you to have completed this course. And so I think that's number one. It's also important for the future of the county and the county commission to have leaders that will be able to follow on to all of us and make sure the county stays strong and we have good governance here into the future. Importance of leadership, I think it's been said, you know, there's a lot of people they call leaders, but they don't all possess leadership. And that's what this course was all about. And, you know, the capacity to lead, the ability to lead. I like to point out, because of my fellow commissioner, Greg Hansen, we were both leaders in the Navy, both Navy captains. He had at sea command, I had shore command overseas. But in the military, it's a different form of leadership. They have to obey us. They don't have a lot, so it's a different type of leadership. It's still leadership. But I give you guys credit, because in this world, out of the military, you have to make people understand why you're telling them to do something. You have to convince them it's the right thing to do. And it's a tiny bit of twist between what it's like to be a leader in the military and a leader here in the county and in the country, out of the military. So I just want to congratulate you all. And now I'm going to, I wanted to say that sometimes leadership are small things, like it's doing the right thing. For instance, wearing masks as a leader helps other people wear masks because they understand it's the right thing to do. And so it's from little items like that up through the whole entourage of everything you do will have to do as a leader. And finally, I wanted to thank Mr. Cameron, Mr. Zeviak, the professors for getting this done, and I know we all thank them. We're all wearing medallions that I think you're going to get today, and I think he did that because he wanted our support. But I really thank you for doing that, and it shows you have confidence in us, and I wear mine proudly. So I wanted to let you all know that. I won't be taking it off. So with that, I think I'd like to ask each of the commissioners if you wanted to just say a couple of words, and then we'll do the presentations.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Sure.
A little bit about the degree.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's great. That's really nice. And you've made this very special by the way you've conducted the entire program. Well, you've all made it. So with Mr. Erickson, did you have anything you'd like to say?
I guess I'm going to start out with echoing some of the words you said. I wasn't as lucky as you and Mr. Hansen here to get to that high level in the Navy. I was just a junior officer in the Army. But one thing I learned is you got to have all the troops lined up behind you, marching forward in the same direction. I then went on and joined an insurance company, started in an office as a middle manager, and then they gave me my first office assignment, and I quickly remembered the fact that, and found out the fact that if you don't communicate with your people and you don't communicate with them regularly and if you don't provide them the tools, things aren't going to happen. I started out with 19 people. About 10 years later, when I left the company and moved out to Florida here, I was sent to an office where, as I said, we had 19 people. When I left, we had over 700 people. This was in the state of North Dakota. And if anybody's lived in North Dakota, you know that most of the people, the males, are out running the ranch, running the farm, et cetera, et cetera. And when we started hiring people, the wives applied for our office. Now, they were accustomed to working at a ranch. And we had a heck of a lot of fun developing a program like this to get people interested in what goes on day to day, teaching them the responsibilities that they had, and patting them on the backs, and providing benefits for them out there. They didn't even have health insurance. They didn't even have bonus payments, et cetera, so we were great to them. But, and I'm going to end this with a little bit of a comedy thing here. One day, 3/4 of the time through my tenure there, I get a phone call in the office, and I answered the phone, and the male voice on the other side said to me, "Mr. Erickson, what are you doing to my wife?" That was a joke, folks. And I was about taken back. I said, "Could you please help me?" He described who he was, et cetera. I said, "Well, what's the problem?" He says, "Well, she's trying to run the farm out here now." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "Well," he says, "she tells me to do this, she tells me to do that, she gets us to change this, she gets us to change that." And I said, "Well, how's it going?" He says, "Great, this place is going great." And I said, "Is that what I said, "Well, great. That's what she's doing this here in the office. We gave her the tools to do the job and to be successful." And hopefully that'll stick with you folks during these next few years. And you pass that on to your folks that are coming up the ladder of success. And I think Flagler County is a great place to learn that. Thank you.
As you all know, as Dave said, I was in the Navy, and I commanded 2 of the Navy's finest ships. But over the 31 years that I was in the service, you constantly learn, and you become a better leader and a better manager each day. And I always felt that no matter what job I had, the people that worked for me should want to have my job. If I'm doing my job right, they really want my job. And I really appreciated that when I was in command of my frigate and my cruiser. I wanted those young kids to want to have command. So, and it works. It works. Congratulations to all of you. It's a terrific step.
No, I just want to say, when I came into office, I had talked to a lot of the department heads, and one of the overwhelmingly things that I had encountered was, I love our county, I love my job, but I hate working for this administration. And I made a pact that I was going to do everything I could to bring change to this county. And it wasn't an easy task. There were a few that didn't feel like it needed to happen. We made it happen. We brought in a great manager. And I have still continually gone around and talked to department heads, and I have never heard the excitement, the unity, they're just happy to be at work. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it is when we work in our companies. You know, I just recently lost a brother, and everyone that worked for him, they overwhelmingly said it was just great to come into work with him. It's rare that when you're in that much high stress, and this county is probably as high stress as that burn center is, because you have so many different citizens wanting you to go 5 different directions, and continually remind you you work for them. But you guys, one thing clear, you work for this manager, and when you've got a good manager, you'll bust your tail for him. And seeing programs like this is what motivates people, being rewarded. It's not all about money. Sometimes we have to go home and feel like we have a sense of accomplishment. And that's one thing that I had to learn throughout my career. Rewarding people with money is probably secondary to making someone go home and feel like they were successful that day and they did good. And you guys do that. You guys do it on a daily basis. I can't thank you enough. And having a good manager, he'll defend you even against us when we want to try to do crazy things. He'll go, "Don't mess with my staff." And that's what I love seeing and have enjoyed. Also, these pins, wear them with pride. I'm offering $100 per pin because he won't give me any more. And so, no, but wear them with pride. It's probably one of the most proudest things that I wear is this leadership pin. And I can't get another one, no matter what I offer. But we're very thankful for you, and anything we can do for you, or anything I can do, please don't hesitate to ask and to reach out. But I'm proud of you guys on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, congratulations to everyone. Really a stellar effort and not an easy thing to accomplish in the environment that you talked about, Shelley, with respect to how the world has changed for all of us here locally. And, you know, in terms of what strong organizations do, they always look to identify the high potential employees and the high professional employees. And if you look around the room, that's really what we have here. We have a mixture of both. And it's critical for, for an organization to grow to be able to do that. And every large organization does that. And those are the kinds of things we had not done here in the past, which I think is what Commissioner Mullins was alluding to. From the boring side of it, we all want effective and efficient government. We want to make sure we worry, as commissioners, just like you all do, we worry about making sure that we're spending the taxpayers' money correctly and on the, in the most efficient manner. And I can't really think of other, anything else. I mean, there's lots of things we spend money on that are important, but this is just as important for professional development of the workforce and of our leaders and potential leaders is just as important as pretty much any of the other dollars that we spend on the taxpayers' behalf. So. And I hope we can continue that. I thank you, Mr. Cameron and Mr. Saviak, for doing that. And the last thing I'll say is you gave me a tough task. When you asked me to speak to the class, the hardest thing I had to do was to do a Zoom presentation. I kept wanting to look at myself on the screen, and it was very hard to get feedback from the audience. But I wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to talk to the class, too. That was very impactful for me as well, and I appreciate that. But again, congratulations and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
I'm running away.
Chased them away.
Graduate Julie Murphy. Honey Petito.
Thank you very much.
Graduate Jared Shue.
Graduate is
Tim Telfer.
Thank you very much.
Last but not least, Pamela Lynn. Too many things on my ears here. Well, that concludes the graduation of the first inaugural class. A little redundancy there, but we are very pleased. It was brought up by a valedictorian that this county has faced crisis after crisis since 2008. And I reminded them in leadership class that there's never been a hero without a crisis. And these are your heroes for past events as well as the future challenges. It's been said that the greatest contribution that you can make is to plant trees that you never hope to sit under the shade of. And gentlemen, you have planted some sturdy oaks, and we will see the results of that planting for decades to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. And I just wanted to again thank the professors and the students who just graduated. Congratulations, and one last round of applause for everybody involved. With that, we'll get on with the agenda. Kind of down after all that. But it's not, because we've got Commissioner Hanson will read a Purple Heart Day proclamation, please.
A proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming August 7th, 2020 as Purple Heart Day at Flagler County. Whereas the original Purple Heart, known as the Badge of Military Merit, is the oldest American military decoration in the world, and whereas the Purple Heart was established by General George Washington at Newburgh, New York on August 7th, 1782, during the Revolutionary War as an incentive to the Continental Army, and it was the first award made available to the common soldier to recognize outstanding valor or merit. And whereas, following nearly 150 years of disuse, the Purple Heart was reestablished by United States President Herbert Hoover per War Department General Order No. 3, dated February 22nd, 1932. And whereas the Purple Heart has been awarded to approximately 1.7 million military members of the U.S. Armed Forces who were wounded by an instrument of war in the hands of the enemy, and posthumously to the next of kin in the name of those who were killed in action or died from wounds received in action. And whereas there have been many former Flagler County residents who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in giving their lives in the cause of freedom, and there are numerous combat wounded veterans residing in Flagler County and as Purple Heart recipients that contribute to their community in countless ways. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby proclaim August 7th, 2020 as Purple Heart Day and recognize August 2020 as Purple Heart Month in Flagler County. Adopted this third day of August 2020, attested by Tom Bexley, Clerk of the Court and Comptroller, and signed by Dave Sullivan, Flagler County Board of County Commissioners Chair.
Please come forward.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Dave Lyden, the County Veteran Service Officer. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Charlie Hanger, who is a Purple Heart recipient and a county resident. Charlie is a U.S. Army Vietnam veteran. And if you'd like him to step up
Yes.
just for a few words, but before that, I want to congratulate the Leadership Academy graduates. And also, sir, I'd like to thank you for the moment of silence earlier for our military and first responders. If you paid attention to the news, we lost 8 Marines and a sailor in a training accident in California. So please remember their families. And just one mention, there is a Purple Heart recipient from Flagler County who would have loved to be here today, but he's going to be 90 years old this year and didn't want to take the risk. His name is John McElroy. He is U.S. Navy captain, retired, Vietnam veteran, served 1967 to 1991. If that name rings a bell, he was a chaplain, but he's also a retired priest at the Mother Elizabeth Ann Seton Catholic Church in Palm Coast. So he regrets that he couldn't be here today, but he wanted to, I told him I would acknowledge him today. So Charlie? Thank you, Commissioners.
Gentlemen, thank you for the honor, and I want to take this time to thank the county for the support of all the veterans and all the veterans organizations in this county. I'll be very brief. We were proud to serve. We're proud to be honored. And I would like to acknowledge those that went before me and those that will come after. I kind of think of it as the thin purple line, if you will. So I accept this honor in behalf of all of those, including my sainted father. Thank you, Flagler County.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Purple Heart Day, August 7th, 2020 proclamation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'm not going to bring that up. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you again for being here. We now go to presentations, and our first presentation, very timely, emergency management update by our management director, Jonathan Lord. And you've got all kinds of things going on, Jonathan.
Yes, my agenda item gives me all kinds of freedom. But unfortunately, I usually was planning on coming just to talk about COVID, but this past weekend we had Isaias, and it's actually, we're having it right now as we speak. So as I think you're all aware, the chairman signed a local state of emergency Friday midday for the county. We activated the EOC Friday morning, just operating during day hours. We had staff in on Saturday as well. We're prepared to go overnight Saturday, did not have to. Had staff in all day on Sunday as well. We're prepared to be overnight last night. Knock on wood, we did not have to. So Isaias is literally off of our coastline. It's pretty close to off of us right now. It weakened. It was a tropical storm, became a hurricane, and weakened over the Bahamas. Unlike Dorian, over the Bahamas, it got chopped up because of some other weather patterns influencing it. So your entire emergency management team, and I don't just mean my staff, but all of the other partners, the response partners, municipalities, they all came together amazingly, got our community prepared. Our residents I believe we're very much prepared. Biggest operation we really undertook was sandbagging. We were prepared to open a shelter. We actually dropped off supplies in the shelter, were ready to open it, and had staff on standby. And luckily, yesterday afternoon, we were able to tell them, stand down, just stay by your phones in case something crazy happened overnight. So the shelter technically is still stocked. At some point today, we will free that equipment up from the school and let them have their, their facility back. But amazing team of partners that we collectively have to prepare this community. And we were ready should it have been something bigger than it was. I spoke to Faith Al-Khatib this morning. She already has teams out checking the beaches. Knock on wood, and hopefully they're still looking, but hopefully it looks like that we have not sustained at this point any further damage to our dune system of other events that have damaged it. There is in one more high tide that's going to be impacted by Isaias. That's going to have some waves on it, so that will really kind of be the final telling point if we have any issues with that. But the dune system was one of our biggest worries because this was going to be just off the shore and was going to be sending a lot of water our way. So luckily, our community was prepared and it shifted away. We did our dance and off it went to the east. So that is a good sign. So that's Isaias. So your next commission meeting, we'll bring the state of emergency in activation as well as its termination, I'm sorry, for you all to ratify. So any questions on that? All right, thank you, gentlemen. So COVID-19, quick update on that. Over 3.7 million COVID-19 tests have been conducted statewide, 87% resulting in a negative, 13% resulting in positives. That's about 3% higher than it was at your last commission meeting. So there's over 487,000 residents of Florida that are showing up as COVID-19 positive cumulatively. 8% have been in long-term care institutions or correctional institutions. Over 27,000 have been hospitalized. Unfortunately, over 7,000 have passed away. Here in Flagler, we're up to 930 cases cumulatively of COVID-19 positives. That's about 437 since your last meeting. So as you can see, the numbers are exponentially increasing on the positive side. 76 have been hospitalized, which is about 8%. It's about 2% higher than the state average on the hospitalization side. Unfortunately, 10 have died, so it's doubled since your last meeting. And all of those cases have all had other conditions as well that COVID obviously exacerbated and created issues with. However, our overall cumulative positive rate does remain below the state's rate. We're about half of what the state's rate is for cumulative positive compared to our population. In general, our percent positive for daily new cases remains below 10%, where the state typically remains above 10%. I know there's a bunch of numbers, but I just want to make sure that you all can get the full picture on where we're at with that. Locally, the number of emergency department visits for COVID-19-like illnesses has been decreasing over the last week or so, but other related indicators like influenza-like illnesses, things like that, have increased. Our hospital is still running at a high occupancy rate, not necessarily all because of COVID-19. However, we are in constant communications with the hospital, and they are very comfortable that they're able to handle the demand and even increases in demand at this time. So that's a good sign for the facility that primarily serves our residents. Your emergency operations center remains partially activated during normal business hours to include the call center, which is staffed with temporary personnel and will be for the foreseeable future, probably all the way through the end of December as we continue to do testing. Last week, the health department was finally able to obtain the necessary resources to manage larger scale testing with logistical support from the county. So with our support, we've been able to replace the Daytona State College testing site, which was run by a county and a bunch of partners, with the health department primarily running a site, and we've moved it to Cattleman's Hall because 100-degree weather is not very nice on the folks doing the testing, so we were able to move indoors. On this note, I really want to take this opportunity to recognize Karen Prather, you all know her as our community paramedic with Fire Rescue, who led the Daytona State College community testing site. A whole host of volunteers organized through Flagler County Volunteer Services, Flagler County Fire Rescue, Flagler County Finance and Purchasing, Flagler County General Services, my amazing emergency management team of staff and volunteers, Flagler County Sheriff's Office, Palm Coast Fire Department, Daytona State College, Palm Coast, Advent Health, Palm Coast, Florida Department of Health in Flagler, and a host of other partners that were all part of that Daytona State College testing site. In Florida, the Florida Department of Health, which has offices here locally, is the lead for public health. However, as it became evident with the COVID-19 pandemic, they have not been appropriately resourced to carry out certain functions. So here in Flagler County, we thought outside the box, and this amazing team of community partners rapidly came together to fill a void in our health system when we needed it. I cannot be prouder to be a part of such an amazing team and an amazing community that we were able to pull that off. I don't think any other county did it the way we did it, and we filled a void that could not have been filled in any other fashion. We continue to obtain and distribute personal protective equipment for healthcare institutions and our county facilities. Cloth face masks remain readily available in stores and online. You can walk into Target, Walmart, any of the pharmacies. There's right there, so you walk in the door, cloth face masks are available. So the private sector has come in and made that very readily available to our community. We continue to have in place some local restrictions mirroring the state's restrictions on quarantine and in line with public health guidance. We continue the aggressive messaging of social distancing and face coverings. Flagler County continues to remain in better shape when compared to much of our state. There are some communities that are better than us. We're not quite the best. I wish we were, but however, we must remain vigilant and continue to message the importance of social distancing and cloth face mask usage when people are unable to do so. I truly believe that strict adherence to those behaviors will allow our community and our businesses to remain open. We are still waiting on the remaining $15 million of our $20 million in coronavirus relief funds, and I know John Brower is speaking next, and he can give you an update with where we are with those programs. Any questions, gentlemen?
No, I do. First of all, Jonathan, I got a couple of questions. Before I ask anything, I want to say this. You guys have done a phenomenal job. COVID, the hurricane, y'all are spot on. I've never had so many people say that they've never before had communication come out like we've got it coming out through the county now, through social media.
It is my team. I cannot say enough about the team that Jerry's allowed me to build. We have an amazing EM team. It's not just my staff. We have a whole host of volunteers that help us, and then all of the response partners, many who are here in the room that just help us do that. It's a great partnership.
You've done a great job, and I think, lots hit you since you got that title. I don't know if you want to give that title back that we talked about a year and a half ago, but you've done a good job living up to it. The second thing I want to say to publicly is, to the community, they all are going, oh, we made a big deal out of a hurricane. We made a big deal out of a hurricane. I got a call from the White House Friday. The president had declared and already signed a state of emergency and a natural disaster if it hit, and it's getting proactive. And they had shared it with me. You guys were on top of it. And we are a very strong praying community. We prayed and prayed and prayed, and that hurricane shifted off. And thank God it's staying off right now. And a lot of people are going, oh, we just overreacted. Or not a lot of people, but a few people. I want to remind you, when your prayers are answered, you don't make fun of it. You thank God. You don't make fun of it. And you guys, if that thing would have come in, we were ready. Nationally, state, and locally, we were ready. And that's what it's about, because it's the unexpected things that hit us, that get us caught. And I think that happened during one of the hurricanes. We underestimated it. We weren't ready. And I remember the old administration couldn't even get debris removal done. This was prior to us being here, and I remember hearing the stories. These things aren't happening, so I'd rather go around and laugh about a hurricane that was overreacted than one that came through and tore apart. So
Until the science and the funding allows the Weather Service to be exact, and that'll never happen in any of our lifetimes, we have to be prepared. I have no problem standing in front of you, telling you all that we got prepared and that the storm went away, because it can always turn. Hurricane Andrew was running up the coast and made a left turn and devastated southern Miami-Dade County and made record books, and nobody thought it was going to do that. So I would rather stand here in front of you, because if I don't help you all prepare the community, then if somebody dies because we didn't do the right thing, then I shouldn't be standing here in front of you anymore.
well, good job on it. And then COVID, I wanted to say, I know we've got a lot of people that are different with the mask and different feelings, and I've publicly said I don't want to force anybody to do anything, but if a business chooses to recommend it, that's their prerogative and they're right. I certainly encourage people to wear it. When I first bought out here in Flagler Beach, and I met a man that was a staple for that city, and he passed away yesterday, Bruce Garrison. Bruce Garrison was over the sanitation, phenomenal guy. His son's been here doing real estate, and It was complications, but from COVID, but he had some other underlying health factors that probably really created the problem. That's really between medical and him. But what the point of everybody trying to make is we don't know who we're standing by that could have one of those underlying health factors. Not many people know that everyone thinks I'm very healthy. I have a weak ejection fracture in my heart. So it was from a virus. And anyone could be standing by you and they look healthy and you don't think that they're a risk. So just always be conscientious of that and respectful, because we've lost 10 people. That doesn't seem like a lot. It's not a lot when you compare it to nationally. But if one of those 10 is somebody you know, it's one too many. And I'd hate to see us lose anyone from it, but it's all getting along and doing what we're best at doing. I've made this comment before. Never before have I seen medical tell you one thing and then change and tell you another and tell you another. Ultimately, what it tells me is this virus is bigger than anything we've ever dealt with, and we're in the learning stage of it. And we need to be willing to try and do anything. So you guys have been very open-minded. You've been up there conscientious with it. One of the other things I'd like to ask is the sheriff, since he's in here, I know that I saw in media that Sheriff Chitwood down in Volusia had contracted COVID. I also was on my call with the National Public Safety, and they were talking about all the jails and the police forces that are dealing with COVID because they've got so many interaction. And I immediately looked into ours, and I'd like you to give this report to my colleagues and the public. This is pretty impressive what Flagler County and what your department has been able to do, and the fact that our jail is just the total opposite. So I'd like to, if you can back that up a little bit, if I did hear correctly from that report.
Well, Commissioner, as you know, this is a silent and invisible enemy. So I've spoken to Sheriff Chitwood, and he has no clue where he got it. And that's the problem with this virus, is you don't know who has it or where it is. It could be laying on a surface and so forth. To answer your question on our facility, today we have 192 inmates in the facility. We've had 0 COVID-19 inmates. We have had a few staff members in the sheriff's office contract COVID-19, but they so far are recovering and have all recovered, except for a couple that are currently out with it so far. And so we have a very, our Chief Ingert in our inmate detention facility has put into place phenomenal cleaning. It's probably the cleanest jail in the state of Florida, if not the country right now. So far we've been able to keep it out. We have protocols with our contracted medical staff for any new inmate that comes in on how we handle that. And same thing with our deputies in the field. So far we have avoided COVID-19 in our facility. And I hope you just didn't jinx me, so I'm going to knock on the wood.
Oh, well, thank you for what you do, and I've heard that throughout, that jails and police forces are really dealing with a high infection rate, and the fact that you've been able to operate that way, it almost makes it a great place to go if you want to stay away from COVID, but I don't know that I want to try that.
So let me just add that one of the reasons that we've been successful is because of the vision and the funding of the county commission. Some of you that are still here, some that are not here, to expand the jail to a 404 capacity. So with 192, you can tell that I'm less than 50% of the capacity, which allows us to social distance as much as you can in a facility and move people around within classifications. The other thing I'll just mention on is around the country, inmates are being released under the disguise of COVID-19. That is absolutely the wrong decision. And in those places where that's gone, crime rate has increased dramatically as a result. And quite frankly, I think it puts my deputies and our inmates in higher risk, because trust me, when they get the COVID-19 release from these cities and counties around the country, they're not going home to behave. and then they get arrested again, and now they potentially have been exposed and could bring that into the jail facility. So we have not done that in this county, and we won't do that as long as I'm sheriff. I mean, I can't control what the judges do, but I certainly don't support this wholesale release. Unfortunately, I have the capacity, flexibility to make that stand.
Didn't you recently, and if I remember this correctly, didn't you recently get a report on how much crime has dropped in our county? Isn't it pretty significant?
Yes, we're down 47% since I've been sheriff, and I want to, two things are really driving that. Well, three things. Our connection with the community and guardianship policing, the embracing of technology that we've used, and an amazing team that's serving this community.
Great job. Let's keep it down, and don't worry about getting defunded by us.
All right, that's a good segue into a meeting, I think, and that's coming up on the agenda.
Okay, guys. Jonathan, just one last note. The school system is another big part of the whole operation. I know you're not in charge, but I know you're aware of what they're doing. You might just give a quick note on when they plan to open now and anything.
Yeah, so I may get the date wrong, but they were supposed to open next Monday, the 10th, if I got my dates right. And they delayed it by 2 weeks, so I believe the starting date is the 24th off the top of my head, whatever that Monday is. So, and they're using that time to prepare their staff, including the teachers and stuff who are coming in on the 10th, to operate in a different world, on our new normal. You know, COVID's almost becoming less of an emergency and more of a, this is our new normal for the time being until vaccines become readily available. And they're taking those 2 weeks to train their staff, their teachers, their other ancillary staff, to be comfortable in. So currently they're offering 3 types of instruction: in-person, in-class instruction, and the Flagler online system, which has been around for years, and then a new version of an online system, which is kind of like a half between Flagler, half between traditional classes. So we talk to them. Their safety officer and I talk constantly. We have a very good communication with them. They're amazing partners for all kinds of emergency stuff with us. And I think they have a very good path forward. There's just some hurdles we're going to have to get through with this, unfortunately. And I believe they can protect kids. They can protect students in the classroom with social distancing and mask wearing. And I'm very comfortable with where they're going with that. Not that they need my blessing. They're an independent entity, but I'm very comfortable with the path they're heading on. And they're offering appropriate options to every segment, I think, of the community so their children can get educated appropriately.
Jonathan, do we have the statistics on those who test positive but are not sick? The asymptomatic group?
So unfortunately, that would be something we'd have to get from the health department. I don't believe, they may not give that to us because they don't necessarily capture that. Because when you sign up for testing, they don't necessarily go down through a litany of questions. It's very simple, basic demographic questions. And because of the high volume of testing, they don't really have the time to ask the symptomatic type questions. So it's not, you'll see some studies out there, but none of it will be precise because the testing sites just don't have the time to delve deeper into that, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's it. So we'll go on with our next presentation, which will be CARES Act funding update by John Brower, our Financial Services Director. John, you up here again?
Well, Mr. Chair, John Brower, Financial Services. I'll take a couple minutes during each of your meetings to give you an update on the CARES distribution that we have going on. But first, in the beginning of this is only the second, I guess going into the third week of distributions. There's folks behind the scenes, other than, of course, Jonathan and Joyce and Amy leading up the teams. A GIS manager, Darlene Pardini, GIS specialist, Matt Adams, and digital media coordinator, Carlos Hernandez, have been working behind the scenes to really get the application, the online application, working with PDFs and CSV files and all the kind of stuff that we don't think about. We just want it to work, and they're working really hard behind the scenes. I just wanted to give them some recognition. So up until this morning, I haven't done the business ones yet, but as of this morning, we're going to be distributing 49 individuals, $47,112, and 65 businesses for $685,000. And again, I haven't done the businesses this week, so I'm not sure that number, how much that's going to increase this week, but that gives us a total of $1,000 that we've distributed to date of our initial 25%, a little over $5 million that we've been speaking of. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. Go ahead.
No, John, I want to say this real quick too, and to the public. This COVID money has been phenomenal, and to be able to get that out to the community, the businesses, a lot of them are reaching out. They've said it's pretty easy. At first, they're a little confused on it, but it's much easier than the federal sites to do. But the fact that you guys have somebody on the phone to be able to call them and talk to them and work with them has been great. And Amy, is Amy in here? Amy, I have heard nothing but good things about the process with you and Joyce, about the individuals and the businesses. I just encourage businesses to get out there. Don't assume you can't get it. Try it. Try at least. We're not here to fight you with it. We're here to help you. And this commission worked very hard with staff in getting the maximum amount of money brought to this county. We also need to thank our state representative and our state senator because they helped get the amount from the state. And then our Congressman Waltz, who I just spoke to this past weekend about the COVID money and the amount and getting it to businesses. There's more coming, and they're working on it. It unfortunately is sticking in a partisan argument right now, but there's more coming because the effects are still impacting us. The businesses are still impacted, safety's impacted, and the way people do things. But great job getting that, and I just want the public to understand it's not a hard process. If you try, you got a 50-50 shot. If you don't, you got 100%, you're not going to get it. So at least give it a shot. Good job with it.
Right, yeah, and thanks on that CARES money, John. It's true that we've got to get it all allocated by the first of the year. Okay, our next presentation, if Randy's here, please come forward for the Espanola Schoolhouse added to the National Register of Historic Places.
Hi, I'm Randy J., 5 St. Charles Place, Flagler Beach. Glad to see you guys again. I haven't seen you for a long time. This past week, the Espanola Schoolhouse was added to the National Register of Historic Places. About a year ago, I started a nomination process, and I looked at that building, and I didn't look at it for its eye candy. I looked at it for its historical significance. So I did a lot of research on it and sent it up to the state government, which got approved, and then the National Register of Historic Places just put it on the register, like I said last week. I'd like to read a couple of sentences from a letter I received from the Florida Department of State. It is a pleasure to notify you that the National Park Service officially listed the above referenced property, the Espanola Schoolhouse, on the National Register on July 22nd. On behalf of the Secretary of State, Laura M. Lee, and our historic preservation staff, I congratulate you on achieving this formal recognition of the historical significance of this property. So that makes 12 properties now in Flagler County that's on the National Register. And there's several other ones in the area that would be if we go ahead and get them nominated. But it just goes to show you that even though we have a geographically small county comparison to many others, we have a significant amount of historic properties and things that we need to treasure for our future. I'd like to thank Reverend Giddings. He's here. He gave me a lot of information on that property, and that was really crucial because Black history in this area and in the Deep South altogether has been suppressed for decades, and it's very, very difficult to find information out there. A lot of it's not documented, a lot of it has been lost, and a lot of it is based on oral traditions as well. So you have to go out there and dig it up. It's not sitting there like a lot of our, the white history, which is basically the predominant history, especially in the Deep South. So the records aren't available like a lot of other things are. Reverend Giddings, did you want to say anything real quick, or?
Can you come up?
He has to come up if you're going to.
This is one of the proudest moments I had in my life. It's one of the things that I wanted to see done in this county before I go on to be with the Lord. And thank God it is completed now. History of national, state and national is very make me feel good. I can go home and rest now. Thank you all.
Hang around some more, please.
Right, right. And
Not going anywhere anytime soon.
I would like to also say that this is the first piece of Black history that has ever been recognized at the national level from Flagler County. And it was, if it wouldn't have been for Reverend Giddings, that information that we really needed to prove it was historically significant would never have happened. So we have that documented now, and it's a treasure that we'll be proud of forever here in Flagler County. So it's something that I'm very happy about.
Let me share with you, we're still using the school building. We're using what you call after-school tutoring for the school building. It's not just sitting there, we're using it.
Still being used. Great.
Anybody have any questions?
Just congratulations. These are all tough projects to get done, so getting it done is a real accomplishment.
Yeah, we've in the last couple of years, this is the fourth one we've had in the last couple of years, and I've nominated all of them. The Holden House, the Bunnell Water Tower, the Bunnell Coquina City Hall Building, and now the Espanola Schoolhouse. So there's, like I said, there's several other things here in the county, but sometimes it's tough to get all the information, and the owner has to sign off on it. So like right now, I got the St. Mary Church in Corona completely finished. I've been waiting 1 year for the Catholic bishop of the St. Augustine Diocese to sign off on that because they're the official owner of the property, even though it's here in Flagler County. He just, for some reason, we can't get him to sign. But as soon as that gets signed, that's a slam dunk on the register as well. So we do have quite a few other historical gems in the area that most people don't even realize, but there's a lot there.
I want to say something. Randy, thank you for what you've done. It really is crucial that as we grow in this county that we preserve our history. And Espanola, when I got in, it had a reputation to be in the forgotten city or forgotten area. Reverend Giddens, you're making some noise out there.
That's right.
You got a lot of stuff going on. Great job, and it's such a beautiful, special place. And you guys know I'm an event guy. I love doing events. I'd like to do some little celebration here in the next few weeks or something to recognize that and help, let my company help with it, because that's a very big honor to have that out there.
Yeah, one of my organizations I'm the president of, we just bought a bronze plaque. I just ordered it yesterday, so I ordered it last week. So in about 6 weeks, we'll be putting a bronze plaque on there to recognize the property. And then I was thinking about maybe going and getting a GoFundMe site together because the building really needs to be repainted, and it needs to have a fascia and soffit system reinstalled as well. So hopefully now that it's on the register, we'll be able to get some monies to come in to help restore that, maintain it.
Let's all get together and let's talk.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much, guys.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, we've now come to the point in the agenda for community, and let me get this up, community outreach. The 30-minute time period has been allocated for public comment on any consent agenda item or topic not on the agenda, such agenda items or non-agenda. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to address the commission. Speakers should approach the podium, identify themselves, and direct comments to me, the chair. So public comment is now open. Please come forward.
Good morning. My name is Marion Irvin Redden. I am a retired Flagler County employee, and I'm here to speak to you about the Carver Center. I volunteer with the Carver Foundation, and I'm speaking on behalf of the citizens and giving you a little bit of the history of the Carver Center. I started Carver in first grade, and I stayed at the Carver Center until we went through forced integration here in Flagler. And in 1970, the Bunnell High School, which is where, I ended up during forced integration, that school burned. the Carver Center was utilized for years until a solution came up. They came up with a solution as far as where to put the high school students here in Flagler. The only part of the Carver Center, the school I started my education in, was the gym. And we have been working very hard in the years to raise the funds we said that we would raise as a foundation to maintain that facility as well as to add to it. And most of you were not part of the county commission when this was done, but there was a commitment by the county commission to help with that expansion of the Carver Center. I stand here before you today asking you, each and every one of you, to fulfill the commitment you made, because the community needs what the Carver Center has to offer. No, there isn't a lot of plaques. There aren't a lot of plaques. There aren't a lot of hoop-de-doos that go on, but the community needs that center, and we need to expand it as much as we possibly can. We have the money that we committed to help with the expansion, and I'm just asking the commission if you will please consider the Carver Center for the expansion that was promised years ago. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Good morning, Jane Gentile Youth. First, positive things before I get on to the negative stuff. I want to sincerely thank Commissioners Sullivan and Erickson for treating me with the utmost respect, irregardless of our disagreements. Commissioner Sullivan has answered every one of my phone calls or called me back. So has Commissioner Erickson. I cannot say the same for any other commissioner. There's 2 commissioners who have never returned my phone call yet. Okay, on to the next. I just heard this big, wonderful thing about no COVID in the jails. And it really, really gets me because a close friend of mine is going to jail tomorrow. I don't think she belongs there, but that's another story for another day, week, or month. She called me hysterical on Friday. She said, Jane, I need your help. I said, what's the matter? I called the county jail. I'm not allowed to wear a mask unless I'm in isolation. Well, I called also and spoke to one of the nurses, and she said, only the staff wears masks. The people in jail don't wear masks. So I got really upset, and I called the chief, who didn't call me back, Erickson. Then I called a non-emergency number, and then I finally got, after 4 calls, the sheriff's assistant. And I said to her, whatever her name is, I forget her name, I'm sorry, isn't the jail a county building? I thought we have a mandate that we have to wear masks in the county. Well, finally, in the county jail, my 5th call, I called back a nurse. And every time I make a phone call, and Sheriff, I've been supporting the sheriff. Every time I get, thank you for calling the sheriff, an honor to serve, a duty to protect, an honor to serve, you get transferred, an honor to serve, a duty to protect. Well, the sheriff needs to protect everyone in the jails too. And I would suggest that all these jail staff be informed, because finally Nurse Colleen told me that all my friend had to do was ask for a mask. I'm asking the sheriff to make sure that he realizes that the jail is a county building and that anybody who is in there, inmate or whatever, has to wear a mask. I am so upset about this. I'll save the rest for the end of the meeting. But I'm so sick and tired of these accolades and double standards. And the last time the sheriff said if I wanted to distribute masks, well, I think the sheriff should take some of his campaign money and buy masks and make sure the inmates have to wear masks like everybody else. because they don't deserve to die because they have a phony jail sentence.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. My name is Jordan Butler. I am the Director of the Flagler County Youth Center and the George Washington Carver Center. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for your support for both of those facilities and the programs that we have going on there. Without your guys' support and without the support of Mr. Cameron and all the hard work that you guys have done, we wouldn't even have those facilities for any of our programs. The George Washington Carver Center alone sees over 20,000 uses a year, with a big draw being the gym and the basketball programs that go on there. We do run other community and youth programs out of that facility, but it is hard to facilitate a lot of those programs because with the basketball going on in the gym, we are very limited with space. And so some of those programs get limited to once a week, once a month. Some of them we have to turn away. And I'm here today to just ask you guys, with the expansion, with the addition, it's been in the budget, and it's been held up for a few years now. And I'm just asking you guys, as you guys move forward into the next fiscal year, that you really give that the utmost attention so that we can budget that. The Carver Foundation has done a great job of raising funds over the last couple of years. I don't know of any other community group that's willing to give you guys $50,000 to add to one of their projects, but one of the projects that we're asking for, we have $50,000, or the Carver Foundation has $50,000 that they are allotting to help build this addition. Again, I just want to thank you guys for your time. Thank you for everything that you do. Mr. Cameron, thank you for everything that he has done as well. I know that there was a holdup with this project with the city of Bunnell, and because of Mr. Cameron's leadership, we were actually able to get over that hurdle, and we're ready to move on to the next phase. And so I'm just asking the commission that as we move into the next fiscal year, that you guys give that the utmost attention so that we can get this addition done for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to hold response on this because I think more than one person wanted to talk about the Carver Center. So if we can, Mr. Cameron, we'll just hold to the end of this phase, and then we'll address that. And I'm going to go back to you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Mr. Chair, my name is Pastor Daisy M. Henry. I live at 503 East Drain Street in Bunnell, a native of Flagler County. I'm on the foundation board, the governance board, and as everyone has already said, I'm just one of the auxiliaries in the Carver Gym. I run the summer camp program through funding from different organizations, support of the foundation board, and I've been there for 12 years. And this year, because of the virus, my attendance was very low. But I have always maintained a minimum of 25 kids. This year, we had 20. And at the end, we just had 13. But our program went on. And my main concern is when I have my 6 to 8 week summer camp, the kids that is not registered in my program, they stand to the door and peer in. And that grieves me because if we had this addition, my summer camp could probably go in one of those rooms and the gym could be open to the other kids in the community. And this would be a great help to the community. And there's a lot of programs that's going through there. The Road to Success, which someone else would address that, is very important. But this Carver Gym, since the time that we were here before to maintain that building, has been a jewel to the community and different things that it adds to our organization. And the program is like piggyback through different organizations. And the summer camp is really a success. And we always have a banquet at the end, and the parents be surprised how the children perform. And if we had them the whole year or whatever, they would be very talented. And this addition, we actually know now, I'm supporting what would already come up, that you would look into your budget to add this addition, that we could have space that the other kids that's not in the program can come in the gym and have something to do during the summertime. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning, Steve Grossman, 1649 Aspen Street. I just wanted to follow up on situation of animal control out in my neighborhood. I talked to Commissioner Mullins, and we seem to have something planned going forward. And second thing I want to do is tell you what a great job you folks are doing, from the sheriff all the way through, for everybody, you know, in the county. Very impressed. It's a great place to live because it's very progressive. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mullins, do you know specifically what the animal control situation? Okay, okay. Next.
Good morning. My name is Brian Woolard. I am the program director of the Road to Success Youth program that operates out of the Carver Center. We've been there for 8 years now, and I would love to see this expansion move forward. We started this program 8 years ago with 25 students. This year, we have expanded to 50 students, and that could even grow more if the expansion got more room for our program, our office staff, and students upstairs. Right now, we are sharing the gym. And like they said, when they do have basketball classes going on downstairs, we do hear it. This expansion would be great for our office staff. Right now, my office is a 3x5 old basketball room, so it'd be nice to have that expanded. Right now, we're at 229 graduates that have also earned 27 of those graduating with honors. We do resume writing, mock interviewing, paid internships with our students, and right now we're at 100% success rate. In the course of 8 years, we have 93% success rate. So we put the money comes from federal dollars. It comes down to our Workforce Regional Board, which is Career Source Flagler Volusia. It gets filtered through the school board, and it also has a partnership in agreement with the George Washington Carver Foundation. This expansion would mean lots of great things could happen at the Carver Center, in our youth program, and it's changing lives. It's creating opportunities for the youth in our community. 30% of our population come out of Bunnell, but it is open to the county, and we'd love to see this move forward. Thank you.
Brian, just stay there a second. I mean, this is a most successful program, the return to school program. I mean, these kids drop out of high school, they get lost, et cetera. They get back in this environment, they learn, they graduate, they find jobs, et cetera, et cetera. It's a real positive for the county and for the state.
Thank you. Yep.
And you're the reason for it, along with others that help work with you.
It is a GED program, life skill training and pre-employment training program. We do about 20 internships, paid internships as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Elijah Emanuel, the Assistant Director.
I didn't recognize you with the mask.
Yeah, I look better with it, huh? And I'm the Assistant Director of Carver Center, and I've been there for a number of years, since '04. And when I got there, it was a lot of things that needed to be done to that center, period. And when you all stepped in to make the decision to save it, that's when the school came in and allowed a lot of the programs to come in there. Now we're at a point now that we have to actually tell some of the programs that we'll have to wait and see if we have room to get them in here. Program just got in touch with me that want to bring a program that will actually deal with a lot of the social programs that a lot of our community don't know anything about, and they'll bring it in, want to bring it into Bunnell to be able to let everybody know where they can go to certain places to get help when they need it, but we don't have the space. And when they come and talk to me, it's kind of sad that I have to say, well, I don't know how we can get you in there, And like it was said earlier, some programs would like to be there every day, but we can only allow them once a week. And sometimes we have to figure out exactly when can we get them in. But if the extension come, then that will be a problem that we won't have to face. And the only way that we'll be able to do this is with your approval. With your approval. And it's one thing that Bunnell has got a knock of certain things that is counting against it. But if you come down and visit the center, you'll see exactly what has been said is not half true. It's not the truth at all. And we're not only talking about our community, we're talking about Flagler County community as a whole. And this building can actually serve Flagler County, period, for a lot of programs that don't have anywhere to go, and for a lot of programs that can be housed there instead of coming once a week, once every 2 weeks, or try to find a way to get them there. So with your approval, we can eliminate that. And I hope you make the decision to honor your commitment. Thank you.
Next.
Good morning, Commissioners. Barbara Revels, Flagler Beach. So I'm here to speak about the Carver Center, and as you've heard from our fellow foundation members and some of the staff that work there, we are desperately in need of the addition that was promised probably more like 5 years ago. At that time, there was $100,000 set aside in the budget. At that time, that would have gone a good ways into putting up the structure, and the foundation was working towards assisting in completing that structure. Since that time, there have been issues of it being moved forward, and your General Services Department has been kept very busy with a lot of acquisitions and moves around the county that you have assigned to them. And through that time, construction costs have skyrocketed, and it has just been delayed and delayed. I've worked with Mr. Cameron. He thought that he was going to be able to put this forward in the beginning, and he didn't realize that it wasn't fully funded within budgets that were set aside. At this time, I know that your tax roll valuations have come in higher than you had anticipated, and that you have a lot of departments and areas, people that are looking for those funds that maybe has grown your budget a little bit. And there was hope that because of that, we would be able to get the additional funding set aside. We're looking for $400,000. That's a number that I've been working with Heidi Petito on. And Mr. Cameron just knows that you have a lot of requests, particularly since COVID has entered the county and different things that are needed with shortfalls in funding. But I really think that if you look at the overall totality of that center and the use that it is getting, it's this, other than the Flagler County Library in Palm Coast, it is the most used structure in this county. It's doing great things for our citizens. It's really time that you keep the promise, that you look at your budget, that you look at it very closely, and you find the money to do this addition. And we're here to help. As we said, we've raised $50,000. We've raised more than that. We're saving some of that to help furnish it and do the things that need to happen once the building is complete. And I'm in construction. There are many of us that can find probably donations for items or portions of the work. And it's a perfect public-private partnership that can work. And what hasn't been mentioned is that this was a collaborative effort between the school system, Flagler County, the City of Bunnell, and the Sheriff's Department. Those entities funded this, and what used to cost the county back in 07, 08 was $115,000, $120,000 it took to operate that budget. After that collaboration went through, it became down to $50 for the county because of these other groups. Please look at your budget and keep your promise, and let's do this addition.
Yeah, just at this point, I think we're coming close to the half hour for community outreach. Are there any other people who are going to talk to Carver Center? Because I think I want to stop at this point and get an update on that. Was anyone else going to talk? Okay, come ahead. We'll do one more then on the Carver Center, and then we'll go ahead and discuss it.
Hi, Denise Calderwood, Palm Coast, and founder of Family Matters of Flagler and a co-founder of Focus on Flagler, not Focused on Flagler. We ran a program out of the Carver Gym all those years ago in 1998, all the way through 2004 through the collaborative effort of the Teen Center, which is now known as the Flagler Youth Center. And that was a successful model program that Flagler County was recognized, and me personally was recognized by the National Police Athletic League Association of the United States. I was one of 50 people. I was a female, and then there was a male selected nationally for our model that was created way back when in Flagler County. And Commissioner Sullivan, I appreciate you listening and paying attention while the other commissioners are not even making eye contact. You know, and it's interesting because the issue is that you all know our history, and that's exactly what the people from the Carver Center are clearly stating. Our history is important, our future is important, and these kids are our future, okay? As Brian just alluded to, he told you the success rate, 93%, Commissioner, and it's great, okay? We were doing everything we can. We make these open promises. We make you all make these promises. You state to the people that you care that you are doing, and you're not, and you're spending our money buying buildings without doing investigations. You already know the Carver Gym. The record is an open book. You know, the land that's there. Everything is an open book. However, we want to continue this, everything being done in the dark, okay? You know, you're not doing the Carver Gym even though it's been on record for as long as it has. At the same time, the county staff build beautiful buildings over at Princess Place, and we build a place for the horseshoe people, okay? The county staff built the horseshoe facility, 4,000 square feet, instead of putting an additional on the Carver Gym, okay? So I don't know how you all can live with yourself. I know Commissioner O'Brien does it by not answering phone calls, or returning calls or emails on these issues. The issues are everywhere, okay? We are now unearthing it. It's like skin cancer. You take off the first level, and then the doctor comes back and tells you, we need to get down deeper, deeper. You don't want us to get deeper. We want to go forward and go positive for the future, okay? And do the right things, because we need to focus on Flagler County, focus on our veterans who are homeless, who are out there, the people of Bunnell who have been there, who need housing, real housing. We have the solutions. At the same time, we give back $750,000 for housing, okay, without the community even knowing about that. That's in addition to our organization having giving away $750,000 back because we could not come to the table to sit around. The Carver Center came around the table. That was the model that we were recognized for back in 2000. Thank you very much. Go back to the future so we can go forward.
Thank you. So we're at the point now, I'm just thinking, any more want to discuss the Carver Center? Because I want to go back to our county administrator and give us an update on where we stand on that issue, and then we can have further discussion.
Yes, I think that Ms. Revels gave a pretty good synopsis of where we are. When I first got here, I was told that we were budgeted for that, and it was a scheduling issue. We had the situation between the clerk and the sheriff, and the sheriff's need for space to operate out of, and resolving his issues with the op center. As a result of remodeling the courthouse and building buildings out on Justice Lane, the general services folks were tied up with just about all they could handle. Then COVID's come along, and we've had to install protective devices and so forth in a lot of our other buildings. When we got to the point that I saw an opportunity to maybe do this because it's going to have to be largely contracted out, I revisited the finances, and it appears that in order to keep this commitment, and I'm aware of this commitment as well as other unfunded commitments, such as the construction of the library, in order to keep this one, it was going to cost a minimum of $250,000, and that's after working with Ms. Revels, with her, working with some contractors and so forth to get us the best commitments possible. As a result of the increased valuation that we experienced, I anticipated that we could probably work this in and get this commitment off of the books. I, in fact, called Ms. Revels and told her that I thought that we may be able to accomplish that. Subsequent to that, I am informed that we have the clerk of courts that has had a huge failure of revenue because his operation is largely fee-based, and he is going to be coming before you as soon as he finishes quantifying the amount that is going to be necessary to come from general fund in order to keep him operational at the levels that he's at. Then the supervisor of elections, due to COVID, has experienced requirements for carrying out this election that are going to exceed what her budgeted amount was, and she will be coming to you also. We have to get those things quantified. The Carver Center is a tremendous asset in as much as through that partnership with the county. If we didn't have that, those programs would cost the county considerably more than what we are spending at present. The problem that we have is that we have demands on a number of levels that are competing for these funds. We've got fire services that are grossly underfunded here, and that's going to have to be addressed because we aren't meeting minimum standards. We've got other issues that are impacting us. At the same time, being physically conservative requires that we keep minimum reserves, minimum recommended reserves. If we fail to do that, we compromise our credit rating and ultimately our bond rating. And when that happens and our interest rates go up, then we get into a negative spiral that a lot of these programs would be postponed for a long time. I believe that this is a commitment. There's no question about it. I believe it is a critical service to this community. But I also believe that there's so much money and that we have to be fiscally responsible. And if, after all of the smoke settles on these unexpected things that have come up, that there is a way to accomplish this, I would be the first to tell you.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to bring it back now. Commissioner Mullins, you have your hand raised.
You know, this Carver Center is in my district, and Jordan, I want to say, I really think you guys at the school and you guys have done a great job, and a lot of the people that work with it have done a great job. I love the center. It's a phenomenal place. I do have a very hard issue. When someone comes up and says that we made a commitment, and they're the ones that were involved on that commitment in making it. They also were ones involved on making a sheriff's operations purchase commitment that we just recently have lost millions and millions of dollars. A water Plantation Bay water commitment that we have lost millions and millions of dollars. Buying other buildings that we have lost millions of other dollars. I've got a very, very serious problem with that. And I buy a lot of defunct companies or stressed companies, and I never take direction from the people that just about near bankrupted on how to save it. I do have some concerns. We've lost all that money. We're dealing with COVID. Now, I think this needs to be a priority, but it's got to be worked in, and it's got to be something we look at because, as the county manager has said, we've got to look at the whole county at all. I don't think any of us thought that we'd be walking in, and I certainly didn't think I'd walk in and be going to the public citizens saying, you just paid near $10 million for a sheriff's operations center that was poorly done and was advised not to, and now I need more money from you to be able to do a new one. When these decisions are made, and they're done like that, there's consequences to them. And the consequences usually come out in the sense that some of the things that we really want to get done to improve the community, to do things for our kids, to make it a better place to live in, which I'm one of the first for quality of life, they come up on the chopping board. We've got libraries that need a lot of attention. But we also are dealing with a major, major pandemic. We're dealing with major millions of dollars of loss. I still want, as a commissioner, and owe it to my community, to have conversation with those people that made the loss and look to hold them accountable. And that's part of the board that made this decision or made this commitment. So to come up and talk about a commitment really concerns me. While this is a project I want to see get done, it's a project that I think we need to look at. We also need to take consideration that these past deals have an impact on this community. These past deals have cost us millions and millions of dollars, and the tab's still going. So that is things that we have to keep in consideration and we have to really look out for. So, and to have somebody involved in any of the rebuilding of it, Mr. Cameron, I am 100% against to have them involved that was involved with the Sheriff's Operations Center. Because I wasn't there to see it, but if all I'm hearing is true, and I don't want to go down another building issue where we're having problems. That's why I didn't want to sell a building for a loss, and I did not want to buy any more buildings till we can gather and get a grip on what we're doing here. And that's where I stand with all this.
Okay. Commissioner Hanson, you had a question.
Yeah, Mr. Cameron, it would be possible to tap into the school board for some of this funding if we ask them?
We can certainly ask, but they were just in my office last week asking me for some assistance, so I don't know. I mean, I'm
Okay,
certainly happy
just a
to
thought.
ask. Okay.
Yep, thanks.
Any of the other commissioners? I had just something I was going to add. Yeah, I want to say this, that I've been around a while too, and I do think the Carver Center, we're not buying a building, we've been improving that building now for a number of years, and the gym is in good shape now. We all go to the cake sale that we have each year there. And I think 2 years ago, I think maybe Mr. Cameron was here at that time, or a year and a half ago. It's my understanding the design is already done. Is that correct for this location? How close are we to the point where you could do construction off that design?
We're there.
We're there. I think this is an extremely high priority for the county. I believe that the board has already spoken to this in the past and said it was a high priority and approved whatever was done previously. We're in a difficult situation financially. I think Mr. Cameron explained it well. But I would like we have people out here, including former commissioner, who have worked hard on Carver Center over the years and done a lot to improve it, and the people who are here. Given the situation in the United States right now, with protests and all that going on, I think there's even more reason to do this, to follow up with Carver Center as a way to help the situation. I don't have the money, unless the staff can find some money that I'm not aware of existing right now. But I personally feel this board should make a commitment to say the Carver Center addition, we're not buying any new building, the Carver Center addition continues to be an extremely high priority, and as soon as funds become available, we should go forward with it. I don't know what else to say at this point in time, because I think it is very important.
That is the direction I have been following, sir. It is a high priority, and as soon as funds are available, we have been able to check off a lot of these things this year, which I'll talk about a little later on. I think that we're getting very close to the point that we may be able to identify funds. I just could not tell you that we could do that now until I know exactly what I'm going to be confronted with some of the constitutionals that have run into COVID problems.
So with that, I would just ask at this point, I don't think we need a motion, but I would like the board to acknowledge the fact that what I just said a little while ago. I don't want to go through it all again, but that's my feeling where we are right now. And so I would just.
I agree, Mr. Chairman. That should be at the top of our list, Mr. Cameron, to get done.
Charlie?
Yes, sir, also.
Joe?
Bree, I agree we need to keep it a priority, but I really want to watch this very closely, and will be.
Just, do you concur that, that the commission, what I said a little while ago, that it's a high priority, and as soon as we can have some.
I think Mr. Cameron provided the proper synopsis of where we stand, and I follow his lead on it.
Right.
Based on the fact that he's managing our money for us. And at this point, I believe he's prioritizing things correctly, and until I hear differently, then I would suggest that.
Okay, at this point then, the first community outreach session is completed. I remember there was a couple of questions in addition that came up, just to clean those up. One was about animal control from Steve Grossman. I was a little unsure what that specifically was.
Yes, sir. That is the neighbors' animals, various types of what are not normally pets, ducks and rabbits and those kinds of things, continually get on his property. We thought we had it reserved. The neighbor put up a fence, but apparently the fence has not been maintained, and now he has ducks and so forth going. Commissioner Mullins came to me and asked me if there was any possible method to deal with these animals that are not your normal pets that would be handled by animal control. And the suggestion that I offered, if it's the pleasure of the board, that we could modify our animal control ordinance to state that if we are required to remove animals that have left your property and gotten onto other people's property or public property, that you would be responsible for the entire cost of that, including any staff time involved. I haven't had a chance to speak with the attorney, but I think that that would be a legal ordinance, and that's the only solution that I see to a situation like this.
So that's ongoing.
That is ongoing. I have not submitted it to the county attorney because I was going to get direction from the board if they'd like to pursue that.
Can I add
Yes.
something? No, what I want to add is the residents out there have been mixed with everything. They've been very firm that they want quality of life. They moved out there so they wouldn't be bothered. While they don't want to see it heavily regulated, they did like, quite a few of them that I've spoke to have like this, because it just holds them accountable and responsible. It holds a person to, if you want to move out there and have chickens and ducks, then so be it, have them, but be responsible and don't make your neighbor who moved out there because he wanted to get away from everything have to come out to his car and have a duck sitting on it or, whatever, pooping on it or so forth. But a lot of them like this idea better than to heavy regulate everything because it deals with case by case and holds accountability. So I've gotten good feedback with this as I've circulated it since then.
If it's the pleasure of the board, I will pursue that with the county attorney's office.
Charlie, okay with you on that?
Obviously, yeah, I'm
Mr.
fine.
O'Brien, okay to pursue?
What do y'all do in Grand Haven about the chickens?
That's enough. Then you're directed to continue to pursue that line. We have one other question, and I believe concerning the COVID-19 and the jails and mass, I believe the sheriff has given a pretty good report on the status of COVID-19 in the jails. If there's anything else to add, you could, while you're here, you're welcome to do it concerning that question.
I trust my jail chief, Dan Ingert, along with our medical provider to set the appropriate protocols, and I will assure you that every inmate is being checked for COVID-19 when they come in, and if they're showing any signs at all, they are provided the appropriate PPE so that there's no infection inside the jail, and I think success since about March proves that our protocol is working.
Thank you. So that finishes off the response to the community outreach. We're now down to item 6 and the consent agenda, constitutional officers, and the consent from the BOCC departments. So having stated that, I'm going to check with the commissioners on any items they want to address or pull for further direction. I'll start with Mr. O'Brien this time, because I always start over Mr. Erickson, so I'll start with this time. This way.
7-0, please, Mr. Chair.
7, we have a lot of items. 7, okay. 7-0 pulled. 7-0, let's make a note to myself. Okay.
I have none.
None from Mr. Mullins. Mr. Hanson?
I have none.
None, and Mr. Erickson?
I had one here, I'm just not finding it at the moment here, just.
Okay, well, I do that, Mr. Jane, who was up before, sent me a message earlier yesterday, I believe late yesterday, actually. And she had some items that she wanted to discuss, including 7-0, 7H, and 7I, I guess. I through O. So 7H, H, 7I, 7 to 7O, no, 7L? No, So 7L, right. 7L through O. I think those are those all on the airport, or? Okay, airports. Okay, and I think he's gone. He had one other message I came in concerning the library money. Mr. Olson, is he still here? He sent me a message concerning language concerning an item that's going to come up, which is the library land. Yes, 8B. Well, we have to discuss that anyway. That'll be an item of discussion anyway, because it's new business. Okay. With that, I'm looking for a motion to.
Excuse me,
for the
Mr. Chair.
consent-
I think Mr. Erickson was.
No, I'm okay.
Okay, he did.
I'm okay.
So back, we've got items, before we make the motion, let's make sure we've got it right. We have 7O, and then we have 7H through 7L. H, right. Okay. All right. So, okay. So if I can get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda with the exception of 7H, 7L, 7M, 7N, and 7O.
Second.
All right. Anything else from the public on that? I don't see anything else. So we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with those exceptions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, it's approved. We have, I'll just wait for Mr. Mullins to come back for his vote. I don't want to go through without having that in there. Where did he go? Just a second, we'll go on. So just while we're sitting here, just let me circle the ones again. So it's 7H. While we're waiting for him, just for the board, there's a lot of excellent things that are happening because we're going to approve this consent agenda, including a lot of our social services money and CARES Act interlocal agreements with the community around here to make sure that the money is handled properly. And those are all on the consent agenda in addition to items 7S and T, which were two additional interlocal agreements. Right. So with that, did you vote in favor of the? Yes. Okay. Okay, that's a unanimous vote, 5-0 on the consent agenda. With that, let's go back, and the first one that we pulled was 7H. And 7H is the agreement between the Florida Department of Transportation, Flagler, for the construction of engineering inspection services for Graham Swamp Multi-Use Trail, pedestrian bridge from Lehigh Trail to State Road 100 in the amount of $9,137,974. FDOT financial project and the number for that. I personally think this is a great project, but go ahead.
Well, it's a great project, but when there's not enough money for the Carver Center, and this project requires funds from the county, if it was totally 100% contribution from FDOT, fine. But since the county, apparently I read the backup, and unless I can't read straight, the county is obligated to put some money in. And that's nowhere near important as the Carver Center. So if the county doesn't have to put in a penny, it's a great idea for the 10 people who might use it. But here you have a Carver Center that was promised something years ago. And here you put these things on the consent agenda, gentlemen, that shouldn't even be on the consent agenda because you're spending millions. Whoosh! If people aren't pulling this stuff, there's the money going out. I think this needs to be tabled, and I think anything that needs county participation, put it aside and put your first priority, as Mr. Sullivan said, put the money in the Carver Center. If you have any left over, then consider it for matching funds for the Lehigh Trail.
Faith, if you had comments concerning.
Good morning, Faith Al-Khatib, Public Works Director and County Engineer. This project has been funded totally 100% by FDOT, actually it's federal funds. The design phase has been completed. The project cost estimate has been updated. Originally, we do have $6.1 million for construction phase. When we updated the cost estimate, it came to be $9.1 million. We went back to FDT and worked with them, and we received additional $2.7 million to get this project done totally by grant funding. No local match funding allocated towards this project.
And my understanding is we've already discussed this at previous board meetings and going forward with it to this point. I think it's a great asset to the county. Also, it'll help our whole tourism situation and give us a point reference close to 95 to welcome people into the county. It'll become an icon, I hope. Thank you. Good additional comments concerning this item 7H? If not, we'll go back for a motion.
Chairman, I move we approve 7H.
Second.
Further discussion? See no further discussion. Bring it back to the board for a vote. All those in favor of item 7H Consideration approval local agency agreement between Florida Department of Transportation, Flagler County for the construction, engineering, and inspection services for Graham Swamp Multi-Use Trail pedestrian bridge from Lehigh Trail to State Road 100 in the amount of $9,137,974. FDOT financial project and its number. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. 7H passes. The next one, I want to make sure I've got this right now, is 7L. 7L. So if we go to 7L, the L's and the I's look the same a lot. 7L is consideration of Flagler contract number 19008Q, which establishes the scope of services and compensation for GAI Consultants Incorporated for construction administration during the rehabilitation of runway 624 for the Flagler Executive Airport in the amount of $402,000. The same request to have those removed included L, M, N, and did it include O? No, not on this one. I think those three were concerning with the airport. Maybe if our airport director is here, or who, Jane, again, I think you were the one that pulled these three. Is that correct? Okay. Maybe just an update from the airport. From Roy.
I thought he had spoken about this
We
earlier
had,
on
but
and
since it was
talked
pulled,
about the funding being
Yeah,
there
if the
before we
board,
even.
if the board considers that there's, this is money we're bringing in to the county to do something good, but I'd still like to hear Roy give us just a quick update on what this entails, and just for the public. People forget things.
Take that off for a second. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Roy Sigmund, the Airport Director of Flagler Executive Airport. So the three items that got pulled, first of all, just to go remind you, back on June 15th, you all accepted both an FAA grant and an FDOT grant. That was totaling $8,746,302. However, I will let you know, I did overspeak at the time that covered 100% of the cost. It did not indeed cover 100% of the cost. There was 24 cents that was not covered. So here's the quarter. I'll give it to the clerk, and I'd like my change back too.
I'll give you
So I'll
change.
just put that there. So with that, so that project, so GAI contract. So this is first off, this was put out to bid. It came back, and the total cost for the construction is $8,139,652. That's for the construction part of it. So what we're doing, we're rehabbing runway 624, which is a 5,000-foot runway. It's our cross-run runway. That is basically our last piece of pavement that we're going to have to redo at the airport. We do have a small taxiway that needs to be done, but basically, when we're done this piece of pavement, it's a brand-new airport. Also, part of this project was also to relocate our electrical vault as well, so that will get totally redone as well. We have a small electrical vault that's going to get relocated on the other side of the airport and totally redone. So with that, so the Halifax contract was, again, it was $8,139,652.24. And then we had, because, if you all remember a few years ago, do you remember when there was a pedestrian bridge that collapsed down south? You remember all that? And a lot of that had to do with, because the people that designed it will also they also did the inspection on the construction. And so they found some flaws with that. So FDOT doesn't allow you to do that anymore. So that was the reason I had to break up my construction admin and my construction observation. That's why there's two different contracts to do inspection and then one for administration.
Thank you. Any further discussion from the board on this? Seeing none, I'm going to bring it back for a vote. All those in favor, I think we'll have to do each one separately now that they've been pulled by number.
You want to do them one at a time?
Yeah, so we have 7L, 7M, and 7N.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move we approve item 7L.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment concerning 7M? M was it L or M? I'm sorry.
L.
L, 7L, sorry.
I'll make it real simple. I don't want to take up more time than I'm already taking up, but the whole thing with the airport, I want to know what kind of revenue the airport is bringing in with the flight schools. I don't understand. There are no FBOs. If the airport were, as David Ayers said, the airport should be more executive. If all we have are flight schools, could you please, why are we spending all this money and having a building, et cetera, to go out and have beautiful views? We don't have radar. When are we going to have an...
Okay, I have to stop you. That's not what this money is for.
Well, all right, do we have to pay any money in? Is any
24
of the
cents.
general fund going to be tapped whatsoever at all?
No. And the airport's an enterprise fund, as you understand it, it's
I know,
self-sufficient.
but I know that there are sometimes overruns. Oh, with all these expansions, my second question, then I'll sit down. Does the airport director have any plan to encourage FBOs and to try to get rid of the flight schools that are operating in such volume that they're destroying the quality of life of the people who nearby?
Okay, I don't think that has anything to do with
Different
this-
question.
with this particular
No, nothing to do with that.
issue. But go ahead.
No, that's all.
All right, all right.
The airport should be great, but get rid of the flight schools if you're doing all this adding, and let's get big jets in here to have FBOs. Thank you.
All right, bringing back to the board, item 7L. There's a motion and a second to approve it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Item 7M.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve item 7M.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item 7M on the budget, which is the major resurfacing of runway 624. Any additional comment concerning that? Seeing none, bring it back to the board for a vote. All those in favor of approving item 7M signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. We go to item 7N, and that's the special additional work required to make sure whatever we do there is safe.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve 7N.
Further
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I see no further comment to bring back the board for a vote. All those in favor of approving item 7N signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Mr. O'Brien, 7-0.
Yes, I didn't have any issues with respect to the lease itself. I guess I was just trying to get clarification in reading the information about leasing this space to the health department for the use, I guess, of COVID testing. If I'm not mistaken, is this space on the second floor? Do we have any concerns with respect to folks, riding the elevator or using the stairwell? And we have close quarters in that buildings, and we also have county employees working in there, So I just wanted an overall discussion about that because I wasn't quite sure about everything with the limited information we had on the agenda item on the backup.
Good morning again, Commissioners. My name's Roy Seeger, Airport Director. So with respect to that, Commissioner, that was actually my very first question when I was reached out to say, what is this going to be used for? And basically, it's not going to be used, they're not going to do any COVID testing there at all.
Okay.
This is just going to be, as you all may have heard, that Department of Health is going to be hiring about 30 to 40 new people to do all the contact
tracing.
Contact tracing, things of that nature. So these are the people that are actually working for Department of Health, and they're not actual people coming there to get tested.
Okay. That makes me feel a lot better.
I had one question, and that is, the county does own that building, is that correct?
Correct. County does own the building, correct.
And we
But,
are going to charge the health department for the use on the floor, just as we charge our own tourist department
Correct.
to use the third floor.
Correct.
Yes, we are also furnishing them the money from the CARES money that came in order to pay for this lease, and that's why the lease is only good at this point up through the end of the year, because that's when the CARES money runs out.
Roy, is that where the title insurance used to be?
Correct.
Okay.
We were just about to put that back on the market, and then this use came up, so that's going to be good for us to give some time to find another tenant after the Department of Health is done with it.
Sir.
Okay, any So I'm looking for a motion on item 7O.
Motion to approve item 7O. Mr. Chair.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comment concerning the building there at the airport and the lease? Hearing none, bring it back to the board for vote. All those in favor of item 7O, space use agreement between Flagler County and the Department of Health, Flagler, for office space in a county facility located at 120 Airport Road, Suite 2, Flagler Executive Airport. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. We go on. Just before we get to general business, I see that Ms. Bishop is in the back. I just wanted to point out that items 7P, 7Q, and 7R are great examples of where we obtain money for social services. As you know, the county drives most of the social services that go on in this county, government-wise, and those are very nice pieces of money to help provide support in the social services area. So I just wanted to note that they are approved by consent earlier. With that, we'll go on to general business. Presentations limited to 15 minutes with public comments limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The first item is the fiscal year 21 tentative budget, annual discussion with constitutional officers. Brower to come forward, and we'll go on with that. I noticed the sheriff did provide a handout here earlier today.
Mr. Chair, John Brower, Financial Services. The 13th of last month, you received a tentative budget. This is the first meeting after this, after you receiving that. We'd like to offer the constitutional officers a chance to have a scheduled meeting with you each year. This is that meeting. Of course, they can come anytime they like, but we'd like to schedule at least one. I know the sheriff wanted to have a presentation today, and we'll key that up, and he'll go first. Mr. Sheriff?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity. And before I start, let me also congratulate the graduates of the Leadership Academy. I think it's outstanding when we can educate our up-and-comers, and I'm glad that the Sheriff's Office had an opportunity to not only participate, but help in that academy. This morning when I came in, I handed you a 2019 annual report. You're one of the few that have gotten them because as soon as they arrived, COVID-19 hit and all the community events ended. For people in the audience, there are extra copies on the desk in the back, and for those that may be listening online, if you go to flaglersheriff.com, on the left side of the home page, you can find a link to the annual report. And let me just also say that it was paid for by the drug dealers of Flagler County, so we appreciate them providing the funding for that as we take their profits away from them. So we can go to the, let's see, do I run this, John? All right, so I'm going to talk about my budget towards the end, but I want to bring information to you as we discuss about this year's budget. So last year, we handled 197,379 calls for service, of which the Sheriff's Office was primarily responsible for 129,000, almost 130,000 of those calls. It's the officer-initiated activity that we need to keep in mind is needed because that's how we're driving down the crime rate through proactiveness in our technology. We had a 1.7 deputy sheriffs per 1,000 residents. The regional staffing level for this is 2.5, and so you can see we're well below that average. Agencies in the south with our county population actually averages 1.9 per 1,000, and we're at 1.7. In addition, if you look at jurisdictions that are same size as Flagler County, we, out of the 4 that match us, we're number 3 on staffing, so not necessarily where we want to be. If you look at the projections for Flagler County and the city of Palm Coast, And I'll talk predominantly about the red line because the gold line will follow basically what goes on in the county, since most of the population growth is in the city of Palm Coast, which, as you know, we provide. But in just 25 years, actually less than that, in about 20 years, according to the University of Florida, Flagler County will grow from roughly 115,000 today to 185,000. So we need to work on that, preparing for that kind of growth. I commissioned a independent manpower study, which you should have received when I submitted my budget request, and I had emailed it previously. And that study that was completed said in 2018, the sheriff's office was 31 deputy sheriffs short. That's already 2 years ago, 31 deputies short. And based on the population expectations by the University of Florida, just by 2025, we would need an additional 47 deputy sheriffs, which means that we have a deficit of 78 deputy sheriffs by 2025 if we don't do anything. If you look at this chart, even though statistically crime is down and down significantly, in fact, it's at a 25-year rate. They haven't seen crime rate this low in 25 years. You can see that our calls for service are increasing. So while crime may be going down, I really run the largest social services agency in the county besides a law enforcement agency. And so you can see with growth, we've been able to curtail the crime, but not the calls for service that come in, which is a good thing. We champion see something, say something, and that's how we've been able to do it with the partnership with our community. If you look at this slide, this shows the population growth and the crime index decline, which I previously mentioned on. Traffic fatalities from 2018 and 2019 were down 67% due to our aggressive enforcement efforts. However, unfortunately, in 2020, they are up, primarily because of Interstate 95 and some unusual crashes on Interstate 95. And those crashes could have occurred in Volusia and could have occurred in St. John's. The tire on the RV just happened to blow out, for example, on 95 in Flagler County, lose control, hit the trees, and kill 2 people. So those things you can't really prevent. We do everything we can to reduce the burden on our local taxpayers. We pursue every grant we can, and for this year, we received over $720,000 in grants. We have a phenomenal COP or volunteer program that not only help in the courthouse, they do bike patrol, they do marine patrol to beef up our one-person marine unit. They work minor crashes, and the list goes on and on. Last year, they did almost 39,000 hours of volunteer, and according to the federal guidelines, that's almost $880,000 in savings to the taxpayers. We use inmate labor, inmate work crew when we can, $100,000 savings. Normally, that's not yard maintenance, but landscaping around government-owned facilities. In this last Friday and Saturday, they were filling sandbags for the community. And not only do they help out the community this way and save taxpayer money, but they learn how to run that equipment. And most of them, when they leave our facility, are being hired by landscape companies. So it's helping them become productive.
Sheriff?
Yes.
The optimal word here is volunteer, correct? I mean, you're not yanking them out of the jail
Correct.
and saying you're working on this crew today.
Correct.
There's a misnomer about that in the community.
So that's a good point, Commissioner, that they do have to volunteer. We cannot force anyone to work on an inmate work crew. I can tell you that when I saw them on Saturday filling sandbags and told them thank you for helping out the community, not only did they appear that they were enjoying it, but one of them made a comment, I'd rather be doing this than sitting in the Green Roof Inn. So it helps them get out and get some fresh air and help the community. And I mentioned earlier when Commissioner Mullins asked me a question about the technology, we've used a lot of technology to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of our deputies in the field and also in our jail. So we were the first one in the state to purchase the intercept scanner technology, which is like your airport body scanner, to ensure that people are not trying to secrete contraband into the jail. And we always warn new arrestees, do you have anything on you? And they always tell you no. You understand if anything comes in here, you're now going to be charged with a felony. So, for example, they may have come in with a misdemeanor, shoplifting, or DUI. They tell us no, we put them in a scanner, and now they've created themselves a felony. So sometimes you just can't get people to help themselves. But we also earned the Northeast Florida Regional Council's 2019 Regional Award for Excellence in Public Safety, and I'd like to thank your county administrator for actually nominating us for that. We do a lot of things in the sheriff's office, but I just want to highlight a few. In 2019, December 2019, we were selected as one of the 10 best places to work in Volusia, Flagler County, and the only government agency to be selected. We did an undercover drug operation, the largest in the history of the sheriff's office, arresting 40 poison peddlers. Our employees, they appreciate their salary, but they also give back. And last year, they donated over $60,000 to local charities. In fact, I just gave a check to $20,000 for the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranches from contributions. And you can see that we are accredited. We're a Ford Diamond agency. So let me talk to you about my fiscal 2021 budget request. And let me just say that this is a maintaining budget request. I would like to ask you for additional staff, especially based on the study that you've been given. I did a quick synopsis on. But I also understand that we're dealing with a pandemic. Now we've had to deal with a potential hurricane. Fortunately, we dodged a bullet on that one. And that impacts your revenues. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So I took the additional deputy requests out. So the only thing this budget includes is a 1.5% COLA, the collective bargaining agreement step plan funding, funding for the detective, domestic violence detective, the SMART detective, which is to go after offenders, sex offenders that are preying on our kids, and a crime analyst for domestic violence. Those grants are at end of life cycle, and we're not going to be funded again. And so that's the only 3 new positions that I've asked for, which is really a maintaining what we already have. We had some increases in liability insurance, and the final year of our vehicle replacement plan phase in. We finance our vehicles for 4 years. When I came in as sheriff, we had cars running 150, 160,000 miles. That doesn't include, they're not just a traditional drive around the town car. So when you get those kind of miles, plus hours on those cars, run a radar, sit and write reports, those kind of things, you're probably the equivalent of 225,000 miles on there. So we went about in replacing that. I've asked for 6 deputies from the city of Palm Coast. That is still in negotiation. Quite frankly, I don't know where that is. It went from 6 to 5 to 2 with 1 additional funded by the town center CDD with the maybe 2 more. I don't know where any of that is at this point, so just know that that request is in there to try to handle the growth that's occurring in the city of Palm Coast. So, as I mentioned, this budget does not address the staffing study that I mentioned. I would ask the board to consider in December or January, when you know what your year-end revenue is, your carry forward, and what your the COVID-19 impact has to the county, that you will consider allowing me to come back. Obviously, I'd work with your county administrator first to come back for a budget adjustment for staffing. And you don't have to make a decision on that today. I just want to bring that up to you that if we don't do anything this upcoming fiscal year, then the study that in 2018 said I was 31 deputy sheriffs short, we just continue to fall further and further behind. And with your support, we've made great gains in the last 3 years. This was a woefully underfunded, understaffed agency when I became sheriff. And in the last 3 years, you funded 31 new positions. And that's how we've been able to accomplish what we've been able to do. I just don't want to lose those gains. And then finally, I would ask that you ask your county administrator to work with the city manager of Palm Coast, and that at some point in the near future, that we have a joint city-county workshop on how to fund the sheriff's office. Because I've heard you loud and clear, the city council, the city of Palm Coast should be paying more on their enhanced services contract. And I've heard them loud and loud too, which they think that you should be paying 100% of their police department, in effect. So I'm the guy in the middleman trying to negotiate both, bodies, if you will. And it really needs to be the three of us working together for a long-term solution on how to adequately fund the sheriff's office for the future with the growth that's coming. And so you can see that, this is who we really are. We're working with kids. This deputy in the center shot saw this gentleman, I believe his battery had died out and it was raining. He got out of his car and pushed him home, and we changed tires. So I mentioned that we're the largest social service agency in the county, and this is just some of it. So we do a lot more than just fighting crime, and I think we do a damn good job of fighting crime thanks to the men and women and in the vision and technology that you have supported. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions from the, go ahead. Mr. Hanson was first, sorry.
I like your budget exhibit about comparable cities and what they pay for their, you just need to have that with you. And just put it up on the screen. We'll all sit around the table and look at it, and look at Palm Coast and say, you're not paying enough.
So, Mr. Hanson, what I would tell you is, and I have used this before, is that the Volusia County Sheriff's Office contracts with the city of Deltona, and I believe their current year is $12 million, and those two cities are the same size. The city of Palm Coast currently is paying $3.5 million. That's up about $1 million since I've been sheriff. So we're trying to get them to pay their share, but it's going to take all of us in a room to work this out.
Yeah, well, that's a very powerful exhibit to just put it up and let everybody consider it.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, thank you, Sheriff, for your leadership and the presentation and everything that your department does and all the men and women of your department. As far as your two suggestions, I think they're well taken and kind of concur with both of them. And I don't necessarily know that I start from the situation of who's paying the right amount, but I do absolutely think it would be very productive to have a open and honest discussion with the city, with us, and have the three of us at the table. And I would rather not delegate that to Mr. Cameron, no offense to him. I think it's so important that I think that we should all participate together to do that, also with the elected officials from the city. And your numbers about long-term growth are really important here, and it's better that we do that all at the same time. I don't think it's a one-year solution. I think we need to have a good, solid plan for the long term, because those numbers are real, and I think we're looking at significant pressures from growth over the next 15, 20 years, and it's our job to plan for it.
Commissioner, I totally agree with that, and that's why we commissioned this study, because you don't want me to come, and I know your county administrator and Mr. Boyer don't want me coming every year, it's like, oh my God, what's the sheriff gonna bring? If we can have a plan that everybody agrees to, then we know what the expectations are. And the plan should include what I'll call deficit deputies. Those are the deputies that we should have already had, and growth deputies. And how do we bring those lines together?
I want to say that too, to concur with Commissioner O'Brien. We did a lot of work, and the city of Palm Coast did a phenomenal. They kind of started it by new management and going in a new direction. And one of the biggest goals that all of us did was so we'd work together and collaborate together more efficiently. So to have a meeting like he's talking about, and Mr. Cameron, y'all are, from my understanding, you're working well with the city, right? The manager, and yeah, so to have, that was our goal in doing it. So I think in this situation, it would probably be good to get all there so it's just not sent back and forth.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, and I'm glad you're happy with the budget as it exists right now from the county.
Thank you, I'll be back.
Remember that.
You'll be back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner.
I shall return.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. Appreciate it. And I appreciate you helping us out this year in the budget. It's very tight. As a matter of fact, all the constitutional officers came in at or below the pro rata share we've been talking about since January. The one exception, I did say all, but there is one exception. That's the supervisor of elections. She requested more, and which makes sense. I mentioned last time we spoke during the presidential election year that her budget tends to go up a little bit. She wasn't available to come today. I thought she was going to write a letter to the board. I guess she didn't get to it yet, but I do want to bring this up on her behalf, that she does want to.
Yeah, and I'd like to hear that too. The rest of I'd like to hear what the increases are there. And the clerk also has some, because of
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Cameron mentioned, so is there any chance we could get an update by both of them at some point, even if we have to do it in a workshop or something?
Absolutely.
Because I think the other constitutionals are okay. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, they all submitted at or below the pro rata share, which is greatly appreciated. The clerk's having issues with his fee-based side of stuff, not necessarily this budget, and it's for this fiscal year as well. And the supervisor.
So the increases are supervisor of elections.
Sorry, sir?
The increases that are changing the budget as submitted are for the supervisor of elections.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
So I would like an update on that at some point.
Would you like me to ask her to come before you at the next meeting, or set up?
Well, she's in the middle of running an election, and
right.
When does the budget get final approval?
September 9th, or final is the 23rd.
I would think that there could be time after the early voting and after August 18th, sometime between August 18th and before the final.
Absolutely. I'll reach out to her, see what's good for her. Other than that, that's it. No one else has to come before you today.
Okay, thank you. We now go on to item 8B, which is consideration of a purchase agreement for the land along Commerce Parkway of approximately plus or minus 4.8 acres of land adjacent to the Government Services Complex to be used for a public library. And who's, okay, Tim, good.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Telfer, Flagler County Resiliency and Research Stewardship Manager. And if you look to the displays here, we've got a depiction of the area that's under consideration this morning. I'll start by just introducing the property itself. The area in green is what we're looking to purchase. The area in red is an area that would also transfer to the county at closing. I'll get into a little bit of detail on that farther down in the discussion. If you look on the right side or the west side, it doesn't quite abut to the property line. We'll fix that. That's just a depiction error that we have for you this morning. And we have roughly 4.8 acres under consideration. We're going to true that up during the surveying process before we get to closing. I think you all recognize where we are, but for anybody that doesn't, that's the First Baptist Church of Bunnell. On the east side, or the right side of the picture, is Commerce Parkway. This is down past the Wendy's. And you'll see that back entrance into the county complex is in the red area there. That's that 90-degree turn towards the west. I mentioned that the purchase price, I believe I did, is $278,000. That represents a net figure. That's $58,000 less than the appraised value, and that's also an issue that I'll get into later on in the discussion. The first thing, though, that I want to discuss with the board this morning is the property itself. And as you've come into the county complex, maybe you've noticed over the past 3 to 4 years, there's been some soil placed on that property. That raised a couple of questions for us as we went into discussions with the church. Really, what effect did that soil have on the land, and what was that soil made up of? So we've dug in and answered those questions for you this morning. The first I'll talk about is the drainage alteration itself. If you look closely at that depiction, you'll see kind of a grayish line or a greenish line that runs east to west towards the top of the green area. That's actually a swale system that's designed to capture all the runoff from that property into the swale, and it moves it west into that retention pond that you see over on the left side of the picture. That retention pond is the pond by the Emergency Operations Center. So in short, what I need to point out here is an important piece of information as we move forward in this discussion. This is an example of where the county and church have worked together over the years to facilitate common goals. And here, the county is receiving the stormwater from the church property and maintaining that pond system out there. That was a benefit to the church. That was part of some larger transactions that took place a number of years ago. So the first question was, what happens to the drainage? When we went out and actually looked at the property, we saw some wetland vegetation starting out there. That raised some concerns for staff. We wanted to make sure that we had eyes wide open as we moved into a potential transaction here. What if there were wetlands on the site? And certainly the characteristics are there. So we went to the St. Johns River Water Management District and talked to them about this issue. I have some written correspondence from the district staff that says because that church property was fully considered during the 2007 permitting process, that even though there may be wetland characteristics on this site, the county wouldn't be held liable for any mitigation that would be required if those wetlands were impacted. So in short, no mitigation burden if the county does decide to purchase the property and move forward with the development. The second issue there is what's in that material. We had some discussions with the church at the time, and they informed us that it was one of their members knew somebody with the land clearing business, and from time to time he would deliver stuff to the site. When we went out and looked at it, you could see it was a lot of fine grain material, heavy in organics, and there's a lot of sticks and other debris in it. That tells you a couple of things about it. It's kind of the leftover, unusable material, not necessarily construction grade, and it could have had some interesting origins, and I believe it does. The next thing that we did is we actually pulled some samples and sent them to a lab to try to figure out what was in this material that was placed out there. And it did come back with the presence of metals on 4 of the samples. Now, they were in varying levels. That tells you, number one, that not all this material came from the same place. It came from multiple places. And number two, it likely came from a dredging project, probably from a retention pond. And I say that because of the presence of the metals themselves. It's very common to see metals in any type of dredge spoil out there. So what did this mean? As we looked at the samples, even though the metals were present, none really raised any cause for concern except for one sample and one constituent of that sample. So one of the samples had mercury that was what I'm going to call at the soil cleanup target level for leachability to a freshwater surface water system. Now that's a lot of stuff in there. The first thing as I try to unpack that, I want to let the board know, if you're at or below the soil cleanup target level, you're not compelled to take any action there. There's not a remediation program that's initiated because you're at or below that level. It's only if you exceed it. The next thing that I want the board to understand is that there's generally 4 categories when it comes to these soil cleanup target levels. There's direct exposure. This is when somebody would be out on a site touching the material, and there's substandards there for residential or commercial. We are nowhere near those thresholds. There's a leachability to a marine surface water system. Obviously, there's no marine systems out here. Leachability to groundwater, we're well below those levels. The one that we did bump up against as we looked at this was leachability to a freshwater surface water system. So the next question is, do we have a freshwater system there? In essence, no. A retention pond is designed to capture this type of material. If you think about these parking lots, they all drain into a drainage system and into a retention pond. All the gasoline, motor oil, transmission fluid, everything that comes off an automobile, the asphalt itself, all this stuff, material is washed into a retention pond, and it's designed to settle out there. Nobody should be swimming in a retention pond, and I know people fish for sport from them, but you should not be eating any fish from a retention pond. And if anybody is curious why, I mean, if you just Google bioaccumulation in your free time, you'll see that all these deleterious substances can be built up in fish in a retention pond, so it's not healthy. So let me kind of wrap that subject up by saying, A, we didn't exceed any of the soil cleanup target levels. And I say we, I mean the county in the analysis. The site did not exceed any of the soil cleanup target levels. If we had, this is not considered a freshwater surface water. This is a retention pond. Nobody's swimming or recreating there. But let me kind of walk you through the hypothetical if we had. Let's say this was a freshwater wetland with a surface water there, and this fill material did exceed the soil cleanup target level. Well, the first thing we would do is go up to DEP and sit down with them and discuss how we handle this situation. The most common way you do that is through a remediation process where you essentially just kind of dilute it. You mix fresh, clean fill material back in and spread that throughout the site. And if you think about it, that's essentially what we would be doing on the development of any library on this parcel. You're going to bring in clean fill construction grade material. That's important to emphasize. A lot of this stuff is not construction grade. But you're going to bring in known source material and mix it in the site as you go to develop. So I just wanted to bring those two issues to the board's attention regarding the fill material. In my opinion, it's not something that would preclude the board from going forward, and that's why we're before you this morning with this consideration. The next thing that I want to go into, though, is resolution of these historic issues between the county and the church. I mean issues in a positive manner. The county and the church have cooperated back starting in 2003 through present day, and it really facilitated the construction of three things. Number one is Commerce Parkway itself. That roadway is intended ultimately to run from State Road 100 down to US 1. And so you see the very important initial first step. This is a very high, very important project to the city of Bunnell. And as a matter of fact, they go as part of their legislative agenda almost every year and ask for a special appropriation from the legislature to complete that project. That's one of the areas that we cooperated on. The second is that church.
Just interrupt you there, that item 7C of our consent agenda today was a resolution supporting Flagler Central Commerce Parkway. So that we are strongly supporting that issue and have been for a number of years.
Thank you. The second area of cooperation is just on the development of that church parcel, like I mentioned. And then third is the county campus itself. There's been a lot of back and forth when you read those historic agreements regarding engineering and construction costs, the price of fill material, the actual infrastructure creation, being able to run looped lines for water and sewer here really facilitated the construction. So in light of that historic cooperation, that's why we went in and we basically offered appraised value net the figure of $58,000. So $58,000 was one of those historic obligations that's carried over to today that the church is indebted to the county, and we're going to resolve that at closing by taking that off of the purchase price. And then the second obligation that we're going to wrap up is that area that you see in red. It's just under 2 acres in size. That roadway, as we turn off of Commerce Parkway and move towards the county complex, is actually on church land right now. That's been due to be turned over to the county for quite some time, and we're also going to wrap that up at closing also if the board approves this item. Two more things that I want to get on the board's radar before you consider a motion. The first is a right of first refusal that's written into the purchase agreement. I'm going to back up a step and say this land was not on the market. It was not an MLS listing. The county went when it was determined that the sheriff would need the entire acreage to the south of that red area for the development of the future Sheriff's Operations Center. We went to the church and saw if they would be, and tried to determine whether they'd be interested in selling some of that land for a future library site. There was a lot of internal discussion in the church itself, but one of the most interesting things that came back to us was the feedback that they really liked the opportunity to select who their future neighbor would be. They saw a public library as a really compatible use there. So much so that they actually asked for a right of first refusal to be written into the contract. So the contract that you're considering today does include language that says in the event the county has not developed the property in 10 years and decides to put it out on the market, the church, we will notify the church, and the church has the right to come back and say they'd like to purchase all or a part of it. Under that scenario, the county would go out and secure 2 appraisals and get them reviewed by a third, and that would be the purchase price for the church to kind of buy back into that property. The last thing that I want to bring to the board's attention, and I'm going to use it as a transition to questions or consideration. Let me just find the agenda item here. So the agenda item itself, under the recommendation section, has kind of what I would call an additional recommendation for the board to consider here. There's been a lot of discussion this morning, and rightly so, about budgets and the cost of projects that are going forward. Let me put on record right now that I know when we talk about these purchases, the community gets concerned. The funding that's intended to be used for this purchase is the Flagler County Public Library's Passport Revenue Fund. This is revenue that the library has generated itself through the sale of passports to the public. This is not ad valorem dollars that are competing with the other projects that you've heard about this morning. This is a special separate account. So because of that, the recommendation on the staff report, I'm going to read it into the record as follows for your consideration. Request the board approve the purchase agreement for the Bunnell Library parcel and authorize the county administrator to execute any instruments necessary to effectuate the purchase as approved to legal form by the county attorney. And here's that additional sentence that we're including in here. Additionally, request the board include a motion stating that if the property is sold, revenue will be returned to that library passport revenue account. And with that, I'd stand by for any questions.
Thank you. Back to the board. I don't see any hands raised, but Charlie, did you say?
Well, I've had a lot of concerns about that Commerce Boulevard. First of all, it's going to be a new connection between Route 1 and 100 here. The traffic's going to increase. We've got heavy equipment down here. We've got fire trucks that will use that as an exit. Is that going to be widened to at minimum of 4 lanes? I can't see possibly how it's going to happen on 2 without a light also up by Wendy's.
So I'm going to look for some assistance on this question because the actual construction details and the timing of Commerce Parkway are not something that I'm engaged in on a regular basis.
I can give you an opinion from a lot of experience in these type of connections. It will be heavily used, and DOT will undoubtedly factor in those projections. And I would say without question that there were going to have to be intersection improvements on both ends of it, and that it would need to be 4 lanes. And with our emergency services being there, there's going to have to be also provisions
plus the sheriff's office, et cetera, going in.
Provisions to accommodate those emergency vehicles entering onto that section of road.
And I guess heard from Bunnell also that they were going to look at making that also an industrial area up in there too.
That's correct. It will be a heavily used
and occupied
stretch of road, that connection. And the fact that you can project that it would be heavily used is a support for the fact that it's vitally needed.
Well, Mr. Cameron, doesn't Bunnell own that road? That's not a state road, I don't believe.
It's not a state road at present, but it probably will be if this goes forward.
I also thought that in the last legislative session that Bunnell turned over kind of the pushing to that road getting approved up in the legislature to the county. In other words, it's a priority of the county in addition to Bunnell. And Bunnell kind of, we've got the lead on that now with FDOT and so forth.
I would encourage that to become, since it's connecting two state roads, to become a state road.
But anyway, that's, I seem to remember something about that. I had a question. I did receive one update or a request from Mr. Olsemer, who's here, and I can either read what you wrote me, or if you would like to get up and explain your point, it'd probably be better.
Jim Olsmer, as you know, I'm the chair of the library trustees. Yes, I just wanted to add one phrase to the verbiage to say that in addition to if the library is not built on that property within 10 years, excuse me, if the county would sell the property, I would like to add to that, or if the land is put to some other use other than a library. Okay, because the little loophole in here is that they could put a garage up or something and the library would be out of luck. So while I'm here, I'll just mention that, as was referenced, this is not a new request. This is really to replace the land that was given to the sheriff for his operations center. Those passport revenues are generated from service we provide to residents, and those monies comes from the United States Department of State. They are county funds. They belong to the county. They should be used wisely. And I think what this language does is it says that, I mean, any future commission can decide what to do with the funds that the county possesses. But at least it would bring it up as something requiring some sort of affirmative action and, you know, provide for discussion and public input. And so that's really why I think that language in there is important.
Okay, just to go back over that, Tim explained that about the passport funds, but just to expand on that a little bit, our library has done a wonderful job in bringing in additional funds to support the library via the passport office. The funds that come in to that fund are kept separate in our budget. If you look at the budget, you'll see a separate line for passport funds. And the idea is to have those available. They're in the general fund, but to have those available for something like this, to purchase that land. So this money is not coming from another source. It's coming directly from profits obtained through the use of selling passport services at our main library. So sometimes people get confused on that. So this is not coming out specifically out of your taxpayers' funding. I think all you're trying to do, Jim, I believe, is just to ensure that since that was the source of the money originally, that it be retained if for some reason the property sold or went someplace else, that the passport fund would be renourished by by the amount of money that was taken out to buy this property. There's about how much in that fund right now? About a million? About a mil? Okay. So there's sufficient funds in there to cover the cost of this property. Okay.
Yeah, I would suspect too that they'd probably be used for design costs too. But
Some have already been used.
so anyway, if it doesn't go forward, the library will be in even greater need of funds for some other way to satisfy, to provide library services to the community.
Okay.
Anything else?
My only question. Any other questions? All right, thank you. I'll bring it back to the board for a motion for item 8B, consideration of purchase agreement land along Commerce Parkway, land for public library. So I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll try to roll it into one motion. I move that we authorize the county administrator to execute any instruments necessary to effectuate the purchase as approved to legal form by the county attorney. And additionally, in that discussion, I move that we include that if the property is sold, that the funds be returned to the passport line of funding. And additionally, if the county uses that piece of land for something other than the library, that the passport line be reimbursed.
Have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, public discussion concerning that? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for any further discussion. If not, move the motion forward. All those in favor of the motion as presented by Commissioner Hanson, and it's item 8B, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. It passes unanimously. Very good on that. With that, we are finished with general business because item 8C was pulled, in case you still have the old agenda. And
Could I just add one thing to that?
Well, maybe.
I'd just like to thank Jim for his letter to Jerry with regard to this subject. It was professionally written, gave us plenty of talking space, et cetera, and it was a professional letter, and I appreciate doing business with you.
Thank you. No, thank you, absolutely. And he's hung in there with us today. Now, item 9, public hearings, none. So we now have additional reports and comments, starting with our county administrator, Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't normally like to take a lot of time, but this is a pretty significant day with the Leadership Academy. And it is often overlooked what you guys and staff accomplish. It's too often that people are saying that you're doing it wrong, you didn't do what you were supposed to. But in reflecting, getting ready for the graduation on what has been accomplished here just in the last year or so, and it's not my accomplishments, it's your accomplishments and the staff's accomplishments. I haven't done any of these things. But when you consider just a cursory look at what's been done by this board and this staff, you were, and this is not an exhaustive list, you were able to reduce millage last year and hold it level this year. And this is at a time when a lot of other jurisdictions are increasing millage. You're able to move forward and solve a problem that has been plaguing you with regard to the Sheriff's Operations Center. We're now well on the way to building that. There's a definite plan for doing it. You were able to resolve the issues of the sheriff's temporary space that he stayed in, whether it was remodeling the clerk's office or whether it was building new facilities sooner than you had anticipated to cover his interim needs. Also able to dispose of the old operations center and finally be able to move past that. Able to reach a partial settlement on the Sears building. One of the big things that you did was you were able to resolve the water quality issues at Plantation Bay, which had been going on for an awfully long time, and then execute an agreement with FGUA, which will ensure that those utilities for the service of Plantation Bay and other areas in the county would be handled in a professional way, delivering quality products to the citizens of this county. That also takes the consent order that we were under off of the table, as FGUA has a plan to resolve that. We have covered over $2 million in Medicare funds that had been written off, and that's a significant accomplishment. We increased the general fund reserves significantly, improving the county's financial position, and you did that in a year that had some pretty amazing challenges. It was John Brower's first year here, and we've increased those reserves. And for the first time in years, you had an audit that came in on time. Quite an accomplishment for a guy in his first year. You avoided, by doing that, for the first time in a long time, gap borrowing to tide us over from the end of our fiscal year till the tax revenues began to come in. That saved somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 for taxpayers, another great accomplishment by our financial team. You were one of the first counties in the state to be obligated by FEMA for Hurricane Dorian. And you lost no money because of not following the proper procedures on any of the categories that we were claiming money under. You also developed a strong team for addressing this COVID crisis that has been a team and Jonathan Lord stewardship that other counties are calling us and asking us how we are handling things because we have been successful in doing that. You established the first ever Flagler Leadership Academy, which ensures strong leadership in this county for decades to come, as these people that graduated today are able to take new generations and pass that knowledge and that leadership skill on to them. And you completed and have planned implementation of a salary survey to bring our employees to market rate. And that is being done unadulterated by any manipulation. It's going to be implemented as submitted by the professional organization that developed it. We do have a lot of future challenges, and it is, as I've discussed earlier, to bring our reserves to the minimum recommended. It is critical that we do that to preserve our credit ratings, but as you have heard, things happen. Storms come, diseases happen. It impacts organizations. The sheriff and the supervisor of elections are both having unexpected expenses, and we need the strength to do that without jeopardizing our credit standings. We need to make good on these promises that were made before a lot of you took office here, whether it's the Carver Center or building the library. Those are commitments that I'm very conscious of as to how we can fulfill those expediently as possible. We need to, in the social service area, although we've made some really good progress this year, we need to be able to forge partnerships in order to meet the tremendous demand for these services that are beyond the scope of government to meet without partnerships. We need to address the affordable housing issue, and that will be coming to you. I believe our next meeting, we should be ready for a plan to address affordable housing. We also have to address the homeless issue. We've done some things in this past year, but we still need to look at a sheltering option for Flagler County, and that would probably be done through a partnership. And we need desperately to have a sustainable plan to address flooding countywide and beach preservation. We need to continue the road improvements on the west side. We need very seriously to have an implementation of impact fees to cover the cost of the growth that we're beginning to experience. And as we do face those challenges, the same team will be out here helping the commission to carry out their policy decisions. And this team is really pretty phenomenal. I'd just like to point out just a few things going through some of the directors. Holly Albanese has had disappointment after disappointment, but yet she continues to step up. She continues to be innovative. She continues to develop more efficiencies. And she stands in the breach when she's trying to deliver services throughout a COVID pandemic where some people don't want to wear a mask, and hold her personally responsible for taking away one of their rights, when if she didn't do that, she would lose her volunteers and she would compromise the safety of her employees. But she continues to perform. Faith Al-Khatib has done a fantastic job working with the Army Corps for years. She continues to bring money for improvements to roads on the west side, and she does that even faced with the disappointment that 10 people in this county would keep all of their neighbors from being protected, and the disappointment of years and years of work that look like that they may go away and expose everybody to those dangers. She continues to move forward. I've talked to you about John Brower, what he's accomplished in his first year. What can you say about Jonathan Lord? He has become a standard of excellence across the state for managing emergency events. Amy Lukasik has changed the direction of TDC, and she stepped up and became a grants manager for the state on the CARES money. All stuff that's not in her job description. Julie Murphy has put us on the map with her social media and her press releases. Fantastic job. Heidi Petito, I don't know how she's accomplished what she's accomplished. Every time that we give her something to do, she just does it. And she does it without a lot of supervision and direction. Tremendous job. Jared Shoup, COVID crisis, had to come up almost overnight with the ability of employees to work from home, and for us to have Zoom meetings and all of those things, which required long, long hours. Sometimes he slept 4 hours in a night. Tim Telfer, you just saw his presentation. He continues to turn in a top performance. Pam Wu, she has really professionalized Human Resources Department in just over a year. We now have risk management. We are now able to address personnel issues in a uniform and just way. I could go on and on. You've got Adam Mengel, Roy Sigler, Joyce Bishop. Joyce is running her own grants program over there with individuals for CARES money. All of those guys step up and perform. And they can do that because this board empowers them to do that. This board is one of the few boards I know that universally understands the role of board governance. They know where their lane is. They stick to public policy, and they do a fine job. I'm proud to have been a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I just add one name to that? The guy that handles that big building down back there, Chet, that takes care of our vehicles, takes care of the sheriff's vehicles, takes care of anything that's got wheels on it, takes care of our fuel supply, et cetera. Chet's sometimes a forgotten person down there, but he sure as hell works hard.
We've got dozens and dozens of unsung heroes out there. That was not an exhaustive list that I gave you.
All right, thank you very much. And I don't think we had any unanswered questions for you based on what we've heard so far from the community input. I think we caught all of them so far. We have another session coming
Well,
up.
that's
shortly.
good, Mr. Chairman, because I'm out of answers.
And breath.
Mr. Adid, our county attorney, report and comments, please.
Hello? Okay. Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm only going to update you on the dune restoration project. I know that's central in your minds. The effort of the community to continue to reach out and educate more people about the project, and particularly about owners who haven't signed, that is continuing. Right now, of course, we've had the potential scare of Isaias. Our folks are going to be going out there and surveilling the beaches soon to see what the effects have been on the dunes, particularly from the riptides and the full moon impacts. You probably are aware that we've continued to secure easements. We have gotten 3 additional easements since the last time we met. 2 of those are from 2 owners. Both of those owners were represented by the outside counsel, and they determined to execute the easements. One of them, it's not complete. We have a federal waiver form that has to be completed by that individual. But what I do want to say about those 2 owners signing easements for 3 properties, those were the products of individual Flagler Beach residents and officials reaching out to them and speaking to them, and in particular identifying from them concerns that they had about the project and about the easement documents that they were to sign, and ferrying those questions to us. And we provided responses in writing. We provided exhibits and input from our professional staff, and they were satisfied based on those explanations to give them the confidence to go forward and sign those easements. So that effort is continuing. We do have some additional concerns that need to be addressed, and we are working on those now in conjunction with our partners. Some further assurances on the implementation of the easements in the future, as well as the conduct of the project. You probably do know from press accounts that we have a meeting scheduled with the Army Corps on August 19th. At that time, they're going to review our situation. So they have not pulled the plug on our project yet. We're going to take a look at where we are at that time. I want to remind the board that since we submitted our certification of lands, that's the formal presentation by Flagler County of the land interest that we have been able to secure to enable the project. We've secured in the aggregate 6 additional parcels, including the 3 that I just mentioned, and that is giving the Army Corps some confidence in our continuing ability, and we're going to continue to try to secure those easements. We'll know where we are August 19th, and we'll figure out what the next steps are with the Corps. Hopefully, we'll persuade them not to terminate the project. So we're going to be going full bore between now and then to try to secure the remaining outstanding easements. Unless you have any questions, that concludes my summary of the situation.
Go, Ryan.
Mr. Adid, where are you at with the status of recruiting the, I'm not sure what title you're using, deputy county attorney or assistant county attorney, whatever?
I'm actually going to be rolling that out shortly. I haven't yet advertised for that position yet.
Okay.
But I know I've gotten the go-ahead from Mr. Cameron to proceed in that direction, now as opposed to, waiting. And also, my understanding is the funding has been included in the proposed budget that's been presented to you.
Hanson.
Yeah, Al, what's the number remaining that we have to recruit?
We have 11 owners that need to sign for an aggregate of 12 parcels.
Mullins?
Let me put that, there we go. Are we still, we still can't speak to those that are represented by council?
I am not permitted to speak to them directly, as would Mr. Cameron not be permitted to speak to them. We have to go through their council.
That's
Out of
including
the-
us?
Out of the, yes, out of the 11 individuals, 8 are continue to be represented by council.
Okay, I just wanted to mention along these lines that Senator Rick Scott called me on Saturday, and basically because a hurricane was possibly coming and wanted to make sure we were all set and that kind of thing. And he was very nice and was willing to speak. So I kind of went back through the history of when he helped us do the emergency as governor to get the road opened again. Remember, he did an interim, and then we finally got it permanently done. And I explained what was going on with the Army Corps project, and he assured me that if there was some specific thing that he could do to help us on that, he'd be more than happy to pitch in, because he understands the situation in Flagler Beach very well. He was so involved with when it was destroyed by Matthew the first time, and he's ready to help us. But I think we need something specific to go back to him on. But in case you need to use his name, we can use his name, that he's aware of it, and he does not understand why these people are not complying.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm sure that Mr. Cameron and I will be able to use that. Thank you. Thank you to the senator.
Yeah,
Of course, he was
Senator.
upfront and personal with the Matthew disaster here in Flagler County.
He was. So with that, that was your report then?
Well,
Don?
that triggered something. When you mentioned the senator and therefore United States policy, FEMA has articulated a policy position. I don't know that it's been adopted by the administration, but what they have said is that what are called Category G, those are disaster recovery, immediate disaster recovery activities. Category G projects where the storm only has an impact on the beach. That is, the beach dunes are damaged in some way, that they are recommending that those projects not be done and not be funded. Now, that would have a huge impact on Flagler County, because it is certainly foreseeable that we may have storm impacts that impact only our dune system. And for those funds not to be available to us, that is FEMA, to help repair those dunes, that would have a significant impact given our financial limitations, combined with the critical importance of the beaches. It underscores the importance of the Army Corps project, actually, because the Army Corps project, as you all know, provides a 50-year assurance of repairing the dunes. So underscore the importance of the Army Corps project in light of this potential development in FEMA policy. So I just wanted to add that.
Okay.
That's another area. What prompted it is a discussion I had with Mr. Cameron last week when that policy was announced, but also you're mentioning Senator Scott. That may also be a fruitful area of discussion with him about that potential, what they call Category G projects involving the beaches.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Cameron.
we will certainly try to, through lobbying, do what we can to prevent that policy from going into effect. But if we fail to get the Corps contract and this policy goes into effect, citizens of Flagler County, and particularly those on the beach, will stand naked before anything that nature can throw at us.
Indeed.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okey-doke.
Thank you.
It's time then for our second community outreach section. This 30-minute time period has been allocated for public comment. For items not on the agenda, each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to address the commission. Speakers should approach the podium, identify themselves, and direct comments to the chair. And these are for items that were not on the agenda.
Until you, I would like to state that the sheriff was very kind to me in the hallway and did assure me, Mr. Cameron, that as constitutional officer, even though the jail is a county building, he can just make the decisions. I just hope that no one gets sick, especially my friend, because Jerry Cameron is so kind, I look through the expense reports all the time, although most of the commissioners don't. And I asked him one day, I said, how come the prisoners are going to plastic surgeons, to Mocha Eye? And Jerry said, Jane, there's a law that says we have to give prisoners the best care. So I said to the sheriff, God forbid anybody gets COVID, not only are you going to have to take care of them, we're probably going to get sued. And he was very, very courteous. I do want to say that. Another issue here that I am very, very concerned about is I have asked, and Julie Murphy has been wonderful, wonderful. I have asked 4 times in emails for what the discretionary budget given to the legal department in the calendar year 2017 and the calendar year 2019, because at the next meeting, I'm going to bring in front of the commission the monies that Attorney Al Hadid has cost the county. But before I do that, I want to make sure that he doesn't have a discretionary budget that allows him to go and hire outside counsel for stupid lawsuits like Bing's Landing, where he was served on June 21st, 2019, and bingo, on the 25th, he hired an attorney that never came before the board. So if that was discretionary, well, that's fine. But I'd like an answer before 5 o'clock today, because it's public record and I'm entitled to know that. If he's spending money not coming before the commission and he's entitled to spend that money, that's one thing. So please make sure I get that back, Ms. Murphy, through the board, okay? And the dune restoration project, one of the property owners called me at home on his own because he reads about me in Flagler Live. He said, if Al Hadid will apologize for coming to my door with 2 other employees and the chief of police from Flagler Beach looking through my windows and gives me an apology, I'll tell my lawyer that I will sign the document. But Al Hadid has to give me an apology because he came knocking at my door. And I asked him, are you an engineer? He said, no, I'm an attorney. And he said he just didn't like that. So you got one more, you'll get signed.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
Rick Bellhumor, Flagler Beach. Over the time of us trying to get these easements signed, Al Hadid has kept us informed pretty well. We've kept an open agenda item on our agendas each meeting, so he could keep us informed. So I'm on the, just filtering through my various news sites last night on the interweb, and there's an article in there about this dune rest, easement extension. So I just feel left out once again. as an elected official on Flagler Beach. I mean, I know you guys are taking point on this, but it's still within our city. It'd be nice to know. It would have been nice to share that with the public a little sooner, I think. I don't know exactly when that was discussed or decided. The other thing I want to ask is, in that article, it said something about Jason being available to speak with the commission, and I guess Al as well, staff. And it's my understanding that this attorney has some problem with the language. And I don't think it's anything extreme. I don't know the specifics of it, but it's my understanding that it's a minimal change that could be made and might make that attorney a little more satisfied and back off a little bit. So I don't know if there's something that the Army Corps can change a word or two and make him happy, that may get us somewhere. Just something I wanted to suggest. And one more thing, as far as the beach, after the storm, we have a better beach now than we did before the storm. It just pushed sand up on the beach. So I went to where the seawall is, where we had the worst destruction from Matthew, and it just piled up with sand. That seawall is buried with sand. So we didn't get hammered hard on the beach.
Good. Public comment?
Hi, Denise Calderwood, Palm Coast, and a longtime resident of Flagler County, a small business owner, a grant writer, a person who cares about this community. And as I stated earlier, okay, Mr. Cameron opened up the door with what his speech was and a beautiful overview. And Mr. Cameron, I want to thank you very much for that, okay? Your leadership is fantastic, and Commissioner Sullivan, yours as well. But Mr. Cameron just said any suggestions, he'd be open to it as far as any issues and any ideas. And over the years, I have done several amounts of projects and works for free on behalf of Flagler County. Several other people have with the Economic Development Council Advisory Board. We have great resources in Flagler County of professionals, and Jim Olsomer from the library is a prime example of that, and you all thanked him for that. So we now need to tap into those all retired people who are out there and use it now more than ever. But one of them is Donna Banks, and she's a long-term Flagler County resident who was in charge of a historic project that's mirrors the Carver Gym in New Smyrna Beach, and she's now fully retired. And I just wrote down suggestions since Mr. Cameron opened the door and said he wanted suggestions, and I quickly wrote down some ideas and showed that all of the information is already ready. They're already out there. The fundraising plans, the community outreach plans, the community development block grants that we've had in the past, how they have been underutilized, underaccounted, and poorly managed, by some divisions in Flagler County, which we now have to bring those to the surface, okay? People are hurting, and more people are going to be hurting, and that's why we have this quick money coming down. And that's economic development at its best. We need to utilize it and have accountability of who's getting turned down, who's getting that money through our current social services. And, the people that we've been referring haven't necessarily been getting the money, and there's questions to that, and it's accountability, just like, all these promises that were made, promises not kept, and then we want to postpone them when there really shouldn't be, because we have that money available to us. We just need to be creative. And I want to thank those leaders who've stepped up. I'm glad that they have. But one thing that was absent was there was nobody there from the Social Services Division. And when the sheriff says that he is the largest social service agency in Flagler County, he is. And beside him is Stuart Marchman Center, and they're funded by the county. And those are issues that have to be seriously addressed, because we're going to have more people dying, okay? And that's it. We can't have those people dying. We are a caring community that has a lot of strengths and a lot of resources, and we need to come together. So do I give the suggestions to you, Chairman, to give to Mr. Cameron, or do I walk over there?
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you, Denise. Well, I will pass these on, obviously. Any additional public comment? Seeing none, we're getting down to towards the end of the meeting.
Mr. Chair, can I comment on the beach issues that were
Yes, I
raised?
want to do that. Right.
Okay, I mean, because it is a critical issue. As far as the August 19th, that was an announcement by the Army Corps. They informed us of that. Now, we got that late last week. I don't remember, Wednesday. Whoa. Sorry, the thing started, I don't know, maybe it likes what I'm saying, or I don't know what it doesn't like what I'm saying. No, I think, no, it's my computer. In any event, I'm on the News Journal page, so probably one of the ads or something started to play. They announced that, and that was occurring right at the time that we had to begin our emergency preparations for the tropical storm, potential hurricane Isaias. So we just never got that out. Our attention was really diverted to addressing that emergency. But I'll also say that during the time of our meeting, our folks have gone out and surveilled the dunes, which I mentioned that they would do, and I got the report back that there is no dune damage from Tropical Storm Isaias. So that's a good sign. The other thing is there was a reference by Commissioner Bellhumer about problems with the easements. That is exactly the things that we addressed with the two owners that I mentioned during my presentation that were represented by council and did sign. I'm going to give you just an example of one issue so that you and particularly the public can understand it. The easement has the words public beach in a very long list of words, a very substantial volume of words. So the concern that some of the owners had was, okay, if I sign this easement, am I converting my property to a public beach? That is a reasonable question. And so our ability to answer that has aided people, owners, in understanding how those words are implemented. As you know, now a lot of the public may not necessarily know, but as you know, both Flagler County and the city of Flagler Beach went through a process of declaring customary use of the beach. And that has to do with the dry sand that immediately adjoins the ocean, that area, even though it may be privately owned because of immemorial, customary public use of that area may be used by the public, what they call, to put down their towels, their coolers, to enjoy the beach, to move north and south along the beach. That is what is meant by that. Now, what those words don't mean, public beach, don't mean is that somehow the new dune that we give them is a public beach. That is not correct. The public, for example, may not cross from A1A over their private dune in order to access the beach. They have to go through a public access way. So when we define that and make the public the owner of the dune remnant, darn it, I'm telling you, I don't know where it's. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Jared, to the rescue here. So once they understand that their rights are no different, that the public's rights are, their right is no different than exists now as would exist after the dune restoration project, except for the right of Flagler County to come in with the Army Corps and our partners and do any dune repair or any dune restoration that may be necessitated after a storm event. So those kind of explanations have helped individuals, and we're continuing to do that. We received a list of about, I'm going to say 6 items, and we're working on those 6 items. Those are from the attorney representing the private owners, and we are in the process of working on essentially assurances. It is not a situation, I want to make it really clear, it is not a situation where the easement document needs to be amended. That is a federally prescribed form. That is the easement that we are to secure consents to in order for the project to go forth. It is just written assurances as to how the easement applies to that individual's property and how we are the recipient of the easement, how we are going to implement our responsibilities under that easement. So thank you for the opportunity to provide that clarification.
Thank you. Okay, we're done with community outreach, and we're right now to item 10D, which is commission reports, comments, and action. I'll start with Mr. Erickson.
I have none.
I have none.
Mullins?
Commissioner comments? Yeah. Couple of things that I want to bring out. One's the mosquitoes, the mosquito process out west. I have talked to quite a few of the residents out there. One of the residents did a social media poll, and came back with about 90% saying they were interested in the mosquito service and that they were willing to look at paying for it, that something has to be done. They're not getting sprayed. It's a lot of the beds are out there. It's kind of like treating the symptom, but not the core of the problem. And these citizens made the comment, why does the city residents mean more than them? And I told them, I can only speak for myself. They don't, that we are looking into it, and we've given that direction. They were showing pictures of children eaten alive by mosquitoes. They were showing adults that are eaten alive by mosquitoes. So I asked them, I told them if they want to come into the commission meeting, they're more than welcome. They can show that, and they can speak to the others. But we are looking at, from my understanding, we're looking into it, and would get back with them. The other one is, let's see, the library. I don't understand what's going on there. I've been getting email after email saying that we as a commission aren't supporting the library. I did not know there was a discussion about the library that I wasn't at, because I hadn't talked about the library. I've been so focused on COVID and the jobs and the businesses and the lives that are at stake. I did not even know we had a discussion about the library. If we did and I'm missing something, I'd like to know, but I really don't want anyone putting words in my mouth saying that I don't support the library. I totally support it. I do not support somebody sending emails around saying that we don't and the library's under attack, especially during a time like this. And I've asked for whoever has started this to please let me know so we can look into it, because this is very serious to me, something being said like that. And if it was discussed, please let me know when it was. The elections, very important. Everybody needs to get out and vote. I know there's a lot of concern with COVID. I know we've taken a lot of precautions, but they're very important. And I wanted, everything I've seen, everything looks safe, it looks secure. And I know today is the big day where we start that, and there's a lot of important positions up there that are going to be decided on. Affordable housing. I know we've talked a little bit about working on a program incentive package to get more affordable housing, more workforce housing built here in the community. We're going to need that. I know the talks that I have with the hospital about coming in and bringing jobs. One of their concerns is housing for the people that they're coming in, and that that project's moving forward. They have gone in Publix. Flagler Hospital is now in Publix doing treatment, and they're looking at building sites here, which we've discussed and talked about in the city. And one of their concerns is the workforce housing. We need those services. We need labor and delivery. We need medical and medical support for mental health. And they're willing to sit down and talk about it, so we need to do our part and look at the housing. So maybe some kind of package there. A lot of the counties are, and we've discussed that, putting up proposals. I think I've talked about the mosquitoes, the animals, the COVID. I want to say this too. This is something that I haven't got a lot of knowledge on, but I've kind of come into it late being elected. I don't know what happened here before with the supervisor of elections. I just know that she started reaching out on social media and attacked me for not attacking the county attorney. I know a lot of people like to come in here. They like to sit here and attack the sheriff, attack the jail, say she's about to go to jail, and then they leave before a response is given. But that lady was very nasty. And I can only imagine if she treated staff and people that way. She was tried. She's showing up for jail. She's going to jail, and she needs to be treated just like anyone else that goes into jail there. There's no special treatment for doing something wrong. She has a tremendous fine that's out there, and that's a fine to the people of the Flagler County, and it needs to be held. And I understand there's some more that have fines out there. And Mr. Adid, I guess this really is a question for you, is there a process where we can go after those fines? Because it's almost like, big deal, you're never going to collect, you're not going to do this. But I think reality's hitting one of them right now as she shows up for that. And what concerns me is they spend a lot of time, labor time in our county, a lot of wasted money, and then these judgments are pretty serious. They're not just some frivolous claims and things that go through court, but these judgments are pretty serious. Is there an accountability that's being kicked in to these individuals?
Yes, you're talking about judgments that came from determinations by the Ethics Commission of maliciously false allegations. Those have now been reduced to statutory penal judgments by actions of the Attorney General of the state, and the Attorney General of the state follows through on the collection of those penal judgments.
So we don't handle that internally in the county. They go after the money. That's not something we need to do.
That's correct. That's because they have become state penal judgments, unlike, say, an ordinary civil judgment.
Right. Yeah, I don't know where it's been learned to file ethics complaints and attack government workers and politicians and political people. I've had my share of it come at me too, and I've paid my whatever I've needed to, but a lot of it ends up just being wasteful court cost. And I've done that, but I tell you, the days of holding, the reason I don't run around suing everybody is it's very expensive. And I think the accountability will turn around and wake people up and say, hey, quit wasting these times on the stuff that's just no bearing and no fruit to it. You know, if I've done something wrong, and I'm gonna only speak for myself, then I expect to be held accountable for it. But if somebody tries to use it as political or just to create chaos, then they need to pay those costs, especially when a judge rules that. So like I said, I wasn't here to do it, or to understand the detail with it, but that needs to happen. And I think a lot of this is I treat this taxpayers' dollars very serious. I feel like we have worked very hard as a commission and very hard as a county to keep tax dollars low, to not go up on taxes. We have not gone up on taxes since I've been in office. We went down last year. We stayed flat this year. I'm proud to see our values increase because that's part of what happens. Things go up. We're doing things right if our property values are increasing. But to have all this man hours and this time and stuff, we've got to defend it. These bad bad decisions we've had to clean up. We've worked hard on cleaning them, but cleaning them up, and this is a part of it that needs to occur too. I've never seen a city or a town or county that deals with this much chaos and this much stuff going on. It's getting ridiculous. And a lot of it is because people either A, have something better to do with their time, or B, they're held accountable for these costs. So that's something that needs to occur. And then as far as the beaches and everything, I'm thankful, I guess Commissioner Bellheimer's already gone. It's very great feeling knowing that they're working on keeping taxes flat out there, that they're trying. It's a different approach. But, you know, we come in here and we talk about the money needed. I just highly recommend that city and that council to really try to change the image of that, stay on your side of the bridge, because they're asking for help for everyone in the county, and it's really hard to get the county residents that are on this side of that bridge to understand money needing to go to that side when they're told something like that. So really, just as we've done in the county and just change the image, change the reputation of it. But again, I want to say this. We have worked hard as a commission to do these things, and I really respect my colleagues up here, and maybe I'm out of line being aggressively talking about it, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure we're bringing these things to fruit and that we address these people that come in for their minutes, you know, and tie up so much time and money. Thank you.
O'Brien? And nothing, I just wanted to reiterate the announcement at the beginning of the meeting. Early voting begins today and runs through Saturday, August 15th. For more information, visit the Supervisor of Elections website, flaglerelections.com, or call 386-313-4170. And one other item I know is near and dear to Mr. O'Brien's heart is I think the census is still going on, and if you haven't already completed your census form or been called, please take care of that, because one of the only ways we'll ever have this county get into a stronger position is to make sure that our population is properly counted, and therefore we get the correct representation for it. With that, I would ask for a...
Move we adjourn?
Second.
We're adjourned. I got to sign some stuff.